So we'll see.
Man, 2024 was all about beefs. Now 2025 is all about beef. Goddamn.
It's starting off the same way already, man. Already.
That's crazy, man. Whew, man. What a week.
Yep, it's up. It's up.
Man, it's crazy, man.
For everybody. For coaches and GMs too, it's up.
Facts, man. Make sure to clock in. Like the thumbs, man. Hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Here we go.
Great Pharaoh. The gift of Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the 5 rivers.
Years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
one of them hits now. Heard back from Earth, they just shot a few of my shits down. It's safe to say I'm totally pissed. Wow, my cloaking devices just malfunction. Guess it's time for a sit down. This is the problem I got with humans, mostly the common man. Constantly fucking with energy they don't understand. Always thinking they got the upper hand. The G-forces for my maneuvers can snap your spine like a rubber band. I shouldn't waste my time, they ain't half as nice. Put a Red Bull in your coffin so your ghost can have wings in the afterlife. Let's rock and roll like a belly dancer's rhinestone. It was my idea to shake the pineal gland like a pine cone. My thoughts create hurricanes, tornadoes, and cyclones. A punch for me is like an avalanche of granite and limestone. You live here, but now this is my home. I neuralize both your retinas, you wake up staring at the screen of your iPhone. Confused by the light plus the high tone. And now we connected from the microchip I placed next to your thigh bone. It's hard to understand cause you're mind blown, but I gotta cut communication. Your government just scrambled they spy drones.
That voice speaking Sumerian. The oldest language in human history.
I can't explain it.
We live. We are live, man. Another edition of Around the Shield. Y'all already know, man. Y'all see it, man. We got the Severe Raider and obviously myself, PharoahNFL. Man, shout out to Big Mike, man. Hopefully all is well, man. He's in the LA area if you got family out there, man. So with the fires, it's crazy. He's going to be missing this week, but he'll be back. He'll be back soon. But we still got a great show lined up. We got a lot to talk about. I know everybody's been talked about it. It's a light night show. You already know how we do it, man. Whether it's Around the Shield, whether it's the 50-50 show, man. We like the late night crew, man. So we know y'all in the building already. We see y'all pulling up left and right. If you haven't already, make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We are going live on all of our channels, including Big Mike, as well as the Severe Raider and obviously myself. So if you haven't already, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Man, what a week. Man, the Raiders just they just keep you, they know how to entertain. They know how to entertain for sure, man. Like it's never a dull day with the Raiders, man. I swear. Like they're not in the playoffs, they're not winning, they're not, like we thought we were only going to be looking for a coach, but we thought wrong. Yeah. Tom Telesco was fired today, but we'll get into that in a little bit, man. We got to salute the night crew in the building right now, man. Raider way in the building, man. Salute PharoahNFL and Severe, man. Appreciate you coming through, man. Yeah, prayers for LA, man. It's wild right now, man. It's crazy, man. Prayers out there, man. Fire, man. You cannot hide from Mother Nature. It is wild, man. It is crazy.
Crazy.
It's quite. Oh man, I forgot to. Man, before even the show started, man, my guy Smoke, man, I appreciate you, my guy, supporting the show. With the super chat, he says, my guys, Severe working OT for the nation. Respect, brother.
Man.
Never a dull moment with Raiders, man. Facts. Brady with the Davis bowl cut is terrifying. Man. I'm telling you, man, the Brady regime has begun. It is official. These moves got Brady like written all over him. I mean, we'll get into that conversation a little bit, but for me, it's official. Like AP getting fired. Yeah, okay, all right. You know what? Maybe that was a collaborative, decision. But nah, not this one. This one was like Brady's like, I want my guys in the building, and Telesco ain't one of them. But my guy Smoke, man, appreciate the super chat. Yeah, we do the late night, man. It's all good. Ain't no technical difficulties. We're here. Solo, hey, man, we got to get you here soon, man. The guys that keep that fire coming. Yeah, man, we got to, man. Appreciate you coming through.
Hey, man, if y'all haven't subbed to Raider or to Solo yet, man,
make
sure y'all get over there, man. He dropping some heat over there too, man. So make sure y'all drop a sub over there, man, and support that dude too, man. Up and coming dude from Sahih. It's like 1:00 in the morning over there. I don't know what the hell you doing up right now, man.
Hey, man, we appreciate you coming through, man, and supporting, man, for real. Because we know it's late on your end, late on your side, man. No, it's a live. This is a live special edition Around the Shield. Usually this is a pre-recorded episode that we drop every Friday, but this is a live show. So, hey, man, it's going to be a great show. We're going to have a lot to talk about. I haven't gotten a chance to talk to the nation, man, talk about what happened today with Telesco. I was caught off guard, low-key, with that fire of the general manager, Tom Telesco. I thought he was going to stay. But like I said, we'll get into that. Oh, man, we got Steve with the super chat, man. My guy, Steve. Appreciate the super chat. He says, Mark better get on his Joy Taylor shit and make sure Ben Johnson signed with us.
That's diabolical right there.
That is, I don't want to know what Mark would have to do.
Man. Yeah, man.
We'll just say, hey, man, Mark, just do what you got to do, but don't let us know what you had to do.
Bro. Oh, my goodness.
Oh man, Steve, man, that's crazy super chat. Hey, we appreciate the support though. That's crazy. That's wild, man. That's wild. Hey, it's a late night show. It's a late night show, so we can say stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It wasn't too crazy. It wasn't that bad. But Franklin Skinner in the building, he says, "Call me crazy, but a Ben Johnson hire made mean AOC gets a shot. That play action with him and is reminiscent of what Goff does in Detroit. I think AOC would be a good backup. I think they're still gonna. I think they're still gonna either trade for a quarterback or trade for a quarterback along with drafting a quarterback. I think that quarterback room is going to be definitely upgraded. But AOC could definitely have a roster spot on this team. But for me to say that AOC is going to be the starter next season, that's a reach. That's a reach.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure, Frank. I'm just going to call you crazy, bro. I'm just going to call you crazy. So Sky.
Man.
Nah, but I definitely understand what you're talking about, though. I definitely, because in that system, you don't have to have a mobile guy, and Goff isn't a mobile guy, but Goff has a lot more arm talent than Aiden. But Aiden can get a shot, man. Like I said, Aiden, he should get a shot. You know, he should have he has every right to compete for the job. Right. I just don't think he'd win the competition, but.
Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. But I see where your logic is going there. But it's just AOC. Just come on, man. That'd be tough if we wanted AOC as a starter next season and not even address the quarterback room. Imagine that. Imagine that happening 2 years in a row. That'd be crazy. Yeah. Laura Rashid is in the building, man. Appreciate you coming through. Mark in the building. Hi, all. Make sure to clock in. Thank you, man. Man, my guy, Mark, man. That's why you a mod, man. Appreciate you holding it down in the chat. Space Beast in the building. He says we played out of our minds in 2023. What the F happened in 2024? We played out of our. Oh, you mean to finish the season with AP? Yeah. I mean, hey, look. Sometimes it's a year-to-year league, man. It's a year-to-year. NFL is a year-to-year league, man. Not every year is the same. So last year, going into 2023 season, we thought our offense was going to be the strength of the team. It was the defense. This year, it's just been, man, like defensive injuries, no run game. We went from having a run game to no run game. A lot of unexpected things can happen from year to year. So it is what it is. And AP's out of here. New coach, new GM. We'll get into it. Rundown, man. Hey, man, we got to get you on here soon, man. Appreciate you pulling up.
Man, facts.
My God, man. Appreciate you coming through, man. Yeah, I know, man. You okay. You working right now? Solo's working. Okay, man.
Okay.
We have to catch you when you're not working, man, for sure. Bernard says, "I'm new to you guys' channel. Good job." Hey, man, appreciate you watching, Bernard, man. Thank you. Appreciate it, man. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff, man. Appreciate it.
Facts.
D Menace, one of our mods on the channel, man. D Menace, man. Appreciate you coming through. Man, let's get into it, man. Hey, Tom Telesco gets fired. What was your initial reaction to when hearing the news?
I was shocked. I was shocked, and then I was just like, all I could do was shake my head, man. Just cause, not necessarily that I was just like so attached to Tom Telesco being our GM, but it's just. We had just heard like 2 days before, it was like, oh, like the Raiders will be retaining Tom Telesco as their GM. And then, 2 days later, he's gone. So it was just shock, man, just surprised. I was like, yo, man, like we better have a plan. That was my main thing. We just better have a plan, man, because it reflects just poorly upon us as an organization. Like all this stuff, it just seemed like everything is ad hoc. Like everything is just being done, spur of the moment, emotionally, without a real plan, without any real rhyme or reason. Mm-hmm. But then as I thought about it more, it started to make more sense. And mm-hmm. we can get into it a little bit later, after we get your thoughts on it. But my initial thoughts was just surprise.
Yeah, man, I was surprised by it, but then it made sense at the same time, what's happening here, which I think we can all I think for the most part, we can all agree. I think this is just a true sign that Tom Brady is in full effect. The regime is beginning here. He's definitely influencing a lot of these decisions. I think he wants his own guys in the building. I think and it's not necessarily his own guys, just the people that he decides that should be there. And now that he's officially the owner or minority owner, but with obviously the influence of making the football decisions that Mark Davis has, pretty much kind of given him a little bit here. I think with the AP being fired, I think he wants his own guy at head coach, but also it's not even his own guy. And the Tom Telesco, a lot of people are kind of disappointed. They're like, oh man, he had a pretty solid draft. He got Brock Bowers, JPJ, you know what I mean, and Glaze. He had a pretty, he did a pretty solid job as a GM. But the thing is that I think it would have been tougher for the Raiders to get one of these top candidates if Tom Telesco was on board. I'm sure. See, what it is that if everybody wants Ben Johnson, for example, everybody's been talking about Ben Johnson this, Ben Johnson that. I'm sure Ben Johnson would have been like, if he interviewed with the Raiders, would have been like, you know what, I would want my own guy because he has that type of leverage.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is, they haven't interviewed any candidates yet. I think tomorrow they're gonna interview their first couple of candidates with Aaron Glenn coming into town. I think to Las Vegas, or not. They're not coming to Las Vegas. It's gonna be a virtual interview.
Yeah, virtual, yeah.
Yeah, I think Ben Johnson is scheduled for the evening. Aaron Glenn might be in the morning. I'm not sure as far as his timing goes. But I think they've requested Aaron Glenn as well. So I'm sure they're going to try to interview both at some point. But tomorrow for sure, Ben Johnson is going to be interviewed. So I'm thinking, hey, look, from the Raiders' perspective, they're like, you know what? I think they just need a clean slate. They want to make sure they can pretty much attract the top candidates, and in order to attract the top candidates, you got to have a GM and a coach that go in there and they're on the same page. Now, I think, man, it's tough because another side of me is like, man, like he had a really solid draft. What happens if this new GM kind of comes in and messes it up, or not even just mess it up? I'm also thinking about like, if I don't know, I want to say mess it up, but like if the new GM comes in and it's a situation where the head coach is has more power than the GM. I kind of like the dynamic of the GM having, control of the personnel, and then the head coach just coaching I just like that dynamic, and hopefully we don't lose that. So hopefully it's just a situation where, two guys just want to know each other, and they want to, hopefully it's a dynamic where like they have a head coach and a GM and they have a good relationship, but it's not a situation where the coach is like John Gruden, for example, where we all knew that John Gruden had a hand in a lot of the missed draft picks early on because he had so much power in that building. Hopefully don't give the next head coach that type of power, but we'll see, man. But for me, I was shocked, but then I wasn't too surprised just because it just makes sense. You know what I mean? Like the Raiders are kind of like, they're starting over. They're giving Tom Brady full control of what's going to be happening moving forward for the Raiders. But yeah, man. Hey, man, I know Raider Nation right now. They're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
If looking at some of the GM candidates that are available, who are some people that you're looking at and thinking about the Raiders maybe possibly getting? Or do you think it's the head coach first, or who's going to be hired first? Is it going to be the GM first or the head coach?
So I think you hit the nail on the head, and this is something that after the dust settled and the initial shock wore off, I came to the realization that we talked about it the other day, right? The Raiders kind of are at best the fourth best job available right now, right? They're like at best fourth, right? Just because of the way the roster is constructed, they don't have a quarterback, don't really have any franchise player on offense outside of Brock Bowers. They have one solid wide receiver. Don't really have a number one receiver. So you don't have a number one receiver. You don't have a number one running back. You don't have a number one quarterback. One thing that can move you up the list for these head coach candidates is, hey, you know what? We'll bring in a GM that you feel you can work with. We'll bring in a GM that you have some chemistry with, maybe you have a previous relationship with. You guys have a chemistry already, maybe possibly a working relationship, and then you guys can build this thing together. And I think that was part of the calculation that as to why we got rid of Tom Telesco. That we needed to be more competitive because it was a flag on the play, right? We already heard Shad Khan. He was on the Zoom call. He let his GM know on the Zoom call, like, bro, I bring in the head coach, and he make a compelling case for somebody else, dog. You out of here. You out of here. So
he kept it real.
So he kept it real. If Ben Johnson was like, yo, bro, yeah, I'll come here, but I got to bring somebody with me. Mm-hmm. We Shad Khan, we like, I'm gonna say no to him because I'm trying to keep Trent Baalke. Like, bro, Trent Baalke, you been low key trash. Like, I'm getting rid of you. So So on that note, I mean, you kind of got to look at pairings. Some of the people are brought up. Well, initially, I think Champ Kelly will get a look just because he's been in the building. I think a lot of people in the building respect him. I think Mark Davis respects him. Ed Dodds, it seems like we've been playing footsie with Ed Dodds for multiple years. Been several times we almost hired Ed Dodds, right? We almost hired him before we hired Ziegler and McDaniels. I think he was somebody that was in strong contention this previous time as well before we end up going with Telesco. And I think we went with Ziegler because of McDaniels, and then we went with Telesco because of Antonio Pierce. We didn't want a rookie head coach and a rookie GM. So and I think maybe Mark Davis has changed his thinking on that. So I think Ed Dodds would be a strong consideration. I think Ray Agnew is a guy I really like. He is the assistant GM in Detroit. He was previously, I think he was director of personnel with the Rams. He got there in 2017. I think he got there in 2017. Around the same time Sean McVay got there. He was there. They're a successful team. I think he got to the Rams in 2021. That's around the time the Rams start getting good. So you kind of see the connection there. And then there's also that connection there with him and Ben Johnson. Then you look at Spytek in Tampa Bay, where he's a guy that he was director of pro personnel when Brady was there. And he also has a relationship with Brady. I think they played together at Michigan. And then another hot coaching candidate is Liam Cohen. And he has a relationship with him there as well. So if we're looking at pairings, you got Agnew and Ben Johnson pairing, and then you have Liam Cohen and Spytek pairing as well. So I can go one of those ways.
Ed Dodds, like I said, we said earlier in the show, we were talking about this. Ed Dodds could be a connection to a guy that I'm not really too big on it, not just because he's not a great coach, it's just the age. Pete Carroll, because Ed Dodds was in the Seahawks building under John Snyder, so there's a connection there possibly, but they can go a lot of different directions. But Rundown, you're hilarious. You said you were kind of happy when you found out Telesco was fired. I will say this. What was Telesco's MO? Like, what was his thing when we found out that he was a GM with the Raiders? When we found out that he was a GM with the Raiders,
he don't trade up.
He doesn't trade. He's not super aggressive. He doesn't really trade up. His first couple of rounds, early rounds, he's pretty predictable as far as like he'll take the best player available. You know what I mean? He doesn't overthink it. He'll take the best player available, which worked out this year. We got Brock Bowers. But if you look at his track record with the Chargers, a lot of his later round picks really didn't work out. So, we didn't really see that. I mean, obviously this year we kind of like are happy with some of the results that happened during the draft, and I'm sure, maybe Champ Kelly probably helped in helping selecting some of the draft picks as well. But I would say a new GM coming in adds a little bit of unpredictability. And I think one of the first thoughts that I have too as well, like, I was surprised that Tom Telesco was gone, but it also makes me think like the Raiders are about to be aggressive in the draft. I think they're going to try to trade up, and I think they're going to get a QB. Before I was kind of hesitant. I'm like, Tom Telesco. We like to say on this channel, Tom Telesco special, man, best player available. And I think Telesco, man, Tom was like, hey, man, so what's the plan of getting the quarterback trading up? He's like, trading up? I'm taking the best player.
Like, what?
Next thing you know, man, Tom Brady is hanging up the phone in his face, and Telesco is fired, man. I mean, that's not how it went down, but I'm just joking. But I'm just saying, like, Telesco, I don't think would be the guy that you would envision trading up and being aggressive. I think the new GM, I can see the Raiders trading up from number 6 and trading up to get a Shedeur Sanders or a Cam Ward. I could see that happening. I mean, do you see that happening? I don't know if we are on the same page when it comes to that, but what's your thoughts on that?
Me personally, in this draft class, I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't do it. Which is terrible because we were in position where we could have taken either one of them, whoever we wanted, and because I don't know why. I know, and it's not this. This is why I get at these anti-tank people, because what if those 2 wins do for us? Not a damn thing, right? Not a damn thing. Not like it saved AP's job, it didn't save Telesco's job. It didn't make us any more attractive as a head coaching destination. In fact, it made us less attractive, because if we would have had a higher pick, it would have been more attractive. You would have been in position for a head coach and for a GM. So, but I think that if we are to believe that Tom Brady is the person that's making a lot of the decisions, right? We all know Tom Brady played the quarterback position. He played it at an extremely high level. That being said, I'm sure he has, even though the quarterback position is the most important position on the field, the fact that he played quarterback, I think he'll have an even more inflated sense of value at the quarterback position because he played the position so well. I'm sure he thinks, like, you know what, like, they wasn't winning if it wasn't for me. So he's going to put even more of an onus on getting a quarterback that can win at a high level. So I think that that only heightens our chances of possibly trading up.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, did you get a chance to see? I mean, we kind of talked about this earlier, but like not Todd McShay, but Field Yates. He replaced Todd McShay. Field Yates, and they had a recent mock draft. Field Yates, and I'm forgetting the guy that's been there all these years.
The godfather of the draft, man. You forget Mel Kiper Jr.
Mel Kiper Jr. The hair. Every time I think of Mel Kiper, I just think of his hair. Like, it's just the old school.
Like a vampire. Got the vampire slick back.
But they had a mock draft recently, top 10. And they had Cam Ward going number 1. You know what was interesting what they were saying? They were saying that, like, JJ McCarthy really is going to be a trade candidate this offseason. They're kind of speculating that. We heard that, but to hear them say it, they're kind of like really preparing for that to happen. And some they're saying that maybe some of these picks might be picks that might be a trade compensation for the other team that trades for JJ McCarthy, which I know you're not a big JJ McCarthy guy, but that's crazy. A guy that got picked number 9 is going to be a pick that, maybe the Titans trade. They're saying the Titans might look into that, which is going to be crazy. I'm not sure what they would give him. I don't know if they would give him the number 1 pick or the next first round pick, but usually teams would want this year's first round or this year's high pick. So that's going to be interesting to take a look at. But they had the Raiders picking Mason Graham. I think Phil Yates picked Mason Graham. And then I think think Jackson Dart was the other pick too as well at number 6. But I'm not gonna lie, man. I see the Raiders trading up, man. It's almost a done deal to me. I think it's official.
It's a strong possibility, man. Tom Brady has connections already to Shedeur Sanders. We saw, Mark Davis. He swooped in on Shedeur Sanders at that basketball game, like P. Diddy on a young talented singer at a talent contest. Like he was like, it was like, he was like, you'd be home now if you played here. So like whatever you're saying. I was like, Mark Davis, bro, you calm down, brother, calm down. So we already know so the connections are there. So it wouldn't surprise me if we did make a move to trade up in the draft. But like I said, I'm not high enough on either one of those guys to do it. And if I was gonna do it for one of them, it would be for Cam Ward, not for Shedeur.
And another thing I will say too, because before I address this comment right here, a few days ago, 50-50 show, we kind of were like, we're going in on the Mark Davis, the Raiders, on how they handled the AP firing, let alone firing AP after 1 year, and just kind of like our reaction to a disappointing year, and the Raiders just really not setting a foundation, starting over, and pretty much rebuilding. To me, I feel like it's a rebuild.
Yeah,
it's a rebuild. We're gonna have to get a new coach, a new GM. We're gonna get a new quarterback, most likely a young quarterback in the draft, and hope for the best next year. But for the most part, I think the expectations shouldn't be super high. Like, it shouldn't be like, oh, playoffs. I mean, we would want the team to go to the playoffs, but when you got so many moving parts, you can't expect. There are examples though. There are certain examples of that, but like that's not the bar. You know what I mean? That's not the it's not gonna be playoff or a bust with a rookie QB and a rookie coach and a rookie GM. Like that's crazy. But now I'm kind of right now. It's there's a lot of unknowns, but I'm like, you know what? All right, we'll see what Brady can do. We'll see what the Brady impact. Let's see what he can do. Because right now, I kind of like the fact that the Raiders are interviewing multiple candidates, and the candidates that they're interviewing, they're not bad.
No,
I mean, there's some that I wouldn't want them to hire as a head coach, like Steve Spagnuolo. I mean, he's a great defensive coordinator, but I don't know if I want him as a head coach. Robert Saleh, I would like him as a DC, but I don't know if I want him as a head coach. And we'll get into all the candidates and stuff like that, all the interviews that's going to be lined up. But Tony Brown says it must be some type of plan. I was hurt when AP went first, but when Tom went, I was shocked. But I think they did that so they can get an interview with Ben. And I didn't see Ben taking the interview with, I'm sure.
With Telesco still in the job. With Telesco still his GM.
I think Tony Brown left the building after that comment. I'm just playing. But yeah, no, I get you. That makes sense. I don't know. Oh man, that's tough though, man. I don't know how to feel about that. Fire Tom Telesco just for Ben Johnson, just for one candidate. Like, I would think there would be a bigger picture. Like, you know what? I'm thinking more bigger picture. I'm thinking like, Tom is like, you know what? In order for us to get the best candidates, we should have them come in with a new GM. That's the way I'm thinking. I wouldn't think like, man, just for what? So what happens if we don't get Ben Johnson? Then we just fire Tom Telesco because for no reason then. For nothing, because that's not what you wanted to do unless we got Ben Johnson, right? So I don't think that'd be short-sighted. But yeah, we got people pulling up left and right. Make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell.
But go ahead. I feel what he's saying though. Like as we said before, like having the ability to kind of have input on who the GM is, because like if you think about yourself as a rookie head coach coming into your first job, or even if you're a guy that you were in a situation before and you failed, a la Steve Spagnuolo. Like, do you want to step into a situation where you're essentially at the mercy of the GM that's above you? Like, maybe for one of these like weaker candidates that's not going to get a lot of looks, that might be okay with them. Like, like a Antonio Pierce, right?
Yeah.
Like not really having any say on anything that's going on. He's a guy that's probably wasn't going to get a head coach opportunity anywhere else. Maybe you're willing to work under those circumstances, but for these high level guys who are worried about their legacy and how their first job goes as head coach, they're going to want somebody that they have some kind of chemistry and some kind of trust with. Nobody wants to come in and be at the mercy of Tom Telesco, where we just saw that there was a glaring need at quarterback, and then he didn't address that need at all.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, like, just think about that, right? Like, as a result of him not ensuring or not doing whatever it took to get the offensive coordinator, because usually GMs and ownership are involved in the hiring of coordinators, and not doing what it took to get the quarterback, that cost the last coach their job. So you think I'm gonna step into this situation and let you do that BS to me?
Right.
Brother, no. Not at all. Something's got to go. And if you want even a shot at me, this dude can't be there.
Right. Yeah. No, and you could probably say the same thing for Ziegler and McDaniels. If they would have got a quarterback early, they probably would still be here. Yep. Or at least longer than the year and a half they were with the Raiders, because at least they can make a case and be like, you know what, we got a young QB, we got to let him develop. Obviously, Josh McDaniels could be like, hey, look, I know where he's at. I'm an offensive genius, yada, da, 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 all that, mumbo jumbo that he was giving Mark Davis in an interview to begin with, and sold him the job the first time. He could have probably said the same thing and bought him some time. But you could say that for any coach. A young QB will buy coaches time. Not all coaches. But it possibly could have bought AP some time. It could have bought Telesco some time. But they didn't address that quarterback position. And I don't even want to put that on AP, because I'm sure AP wanted to get a quarterback. Telesco was the guy that was in.
Made it clear.
Yeah, Telesco was the guy in charge of personnel. He was the guy in charge of adding players to his team through the draft, free agency, all that good stuff. So he didn't do that, and I think that was probably the biggest misstep for Tom. I mean, he should have stayed. I mean, technically, he could. For any other team, I think he should have still been the GM. I think he had a solid draft, but I think would have made an even tougher decision to let him go is if he actually drafted a QB and the QB actually looked like he had some potential, which could have been a possibility. Who knows? I don't know. It was tough, man. Raiders were in a tough situation. Imagine if they drafted Penix. Do you think if we would have drafted Penix, you think AP and Telesco would still be here?
I think it depends on how many games we won. If we won like eight games, I think it's hard to fire them. If we win like 4 or 5 games, they might still be up out of here. But I think they have to go at least they have to be at least hovering around 500 and be competitive every game. It couldn't be like how we was getting blown out, getting stomped on. Like, it couldn't be one of those situations. But if we was competitive in every game, we won like 8-9 games. I think both guys would have got at least one more year.
Yeah, I think we would have won more games. I like Penix, and I think Devontae would still be here. Devontae would have been crying and wanted to be traded.
Penix. Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
He would still be here. He'd still be here.
But yeah, he would still be here. But if Devontae was here, I don't think, and well, like, this is selfish because if Devontae was here, I don't think Jacoby gets his 1,000 yards, and I don't think Brock breaks all those records. So, you know, selfishly, I'm kind of glad Devontae is gone, but I want Penix though. That's the thing though. I want Penix. So
Yeah,
but I really don't want. I don't want Devontae. I want Penix though.
Right.
Michael
yeah.
Penix Jr.
I was
Had to clear that up. I saw you reaching. I was like, let me clear that on up right now. Somebody clip this sound and have me looking crazy on YouTube. Make sure you clear that right on up.
Hey, but salute to Midnight Raider King, man. Appreciate you coming through, man. Appreciate the super chat. He says Brady went full Michael Corleone. He was settled all family affairs, straight Al Davis Godfather like moves. Now make John's on an offer he can't refuse. John's offer he can't refuse.
Yeah.
Is it Johnson? You trying to say Johnson?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm being open. You know what I mean? Like the other day I was super negative because I'm just like, be following this team just like everybody else, man. It's kind of frustrating. We were just seeing the same thing over and over again, but being open-minded, I have no choice. either that or just hang them up. You know what I mean? But I'm being open. Look, Brady could possibly be the answer. It's a gamble. You know what I mean? Because he's never been an executive, never been a coach, never been a scout, never been in any part of the building outside of being a player. And now he's an owner who has influence on the decisions for a franchise. Whether it's picking players, coaches, he's going to have his hand. And you know what's crazy too? I wish I could pull up the clip. I think I sent it to you. I don't know if you checked it out. There was a guy, it might have been on McAfee, talking about how he expects Brady to lose, to pretty much not be, he's not going to be a commentator by next year because of his influence with the Raiders as a, owner and pretty much, influence a lot of the moves. And like, he feels like, it's a disrespect's a slap in the face to commentators and yada, yada, yada. And, but we'll see. I mean, do you see Brady kind of doing the commentator on the side and also being a GM? Because that was one of my main things that I said the other day on the show.
Yeah.
Was that, like, I kind of don't like that Brady is a commentator by day and then, I don't know, by night is he the owner of the Raiders, and where he's looking at the moves and overseeing the franchise? Like, what is he? How does that work?
Talking about Tom Brady like he Batman or some shit.
What is his job? Like, you know what I mean?
Anywhere there's a draft, Tom Brady like.
I mean, like, what is he doing? Like how is he gonna go about doing that? You know what I mean? If the Raiders are gonna have long-term success, like, and the guy is gonna be, influencing a lot of the big time decisions for the franchise, you would think that it'd be all in. That's what I was saying the other day. Now people are saying, like, his days as a commentator might be numbered.
Know what that sounds like to me? That sounds like whoever that was. I didn't see the clip, but that sounds like whoever that was sounds like they hate. It sounds like some big ass haters. Like this. We gotta stop it. Because unless there's language in his contract with Fox that says he can't do it, ain't a damn thing he can do about it. Ain't a damn thing nobody can do about it unless there's language in his contract saying he can't do it. Because the NFL has already approved his ownership. Can't take that back. And Fox already has a contract in place with them. They can't take that back unless there's language already in there saying he can't do what he's doing. And their issue before wasn't with Fox. The issue was always with the NFL. So Fox had to change how they operated in order for Tom Brady to get approved as owner. But Fox they didn't give a damn. They just want Tom Brady to talk on TV. It was always the NFL that had issues with it. So unless Fox comes in and says, no, we don't want this anymore, then ain't a damn thing that the NFL can do about it, and Fox ain't gonna do nothing about it either.
So here's the clip real quick.
So what do you make of what's going on with the Raiders? What are the most interesting business management leadership stories going on right now in sports to you?
Well, the number one thing in the NFL is the desire by all of these owners to come out with statements when they're not making moves or when they are making moves, and the strangeness of the timing. The whole Antonio Pierce thing, I take great issue with. Nothing happened from day one postseason to day two postseason where he did a press conference and then got fired the next day. You don't make a decision like that after the press conference. He was fired before they let him do his postseason press conference, and there was no reason. What, they couldn't get to him? They couldn't find him? They couldn't reach him? It's embarrassing. And then they leak out that Tom Brady is going to be very involved in the new coach and in the search for the new coach. Guess what? Tom Brady's running that team right now, and the NFL knows it, and Fox knows it, and something's got to give. So enjoy Tom in the booth, because you're not going to see him there next year.
Whoa, what? Whoa. What? Where's he going to be? What?
He will be in the Raiders front office. He will not return as an analyst for Fox. You cannot be this involved in the operation of a team and be the number one analyst. It is an absolute insult to analysts what he's doing, and it's an insult to team presidents what he's doing. You end up doing both of them in a mediocre way, and I assume and I know that I promise you.
Wait a minute. Which is it? Wait. Get it right.
Do you promise or do you know?
Come on,
Right.
David.
Yes.
David, get the dismount right, please. Do you know it? Do you assume it? Do you promise it? If you're going to give us the soundbite of saying something no one else is saying, can you do it correctly, please? Nail the dismount.
4869. Tom Brady will not be with Fox next season. He will be full-time in the Raiders front office running that team. Period.
And that's the clip. And you see what he said though at the end. You see what he said. One of the things he said. He says he's not going to be able to do both at a high level, be an analyst and also run a team at a high level. And he made the right assessment in saying that, look, he's going to pick the Raiders. He owns the team. Why would he, pick Fox? I mean, obviously he's getting paid a nice amount, but he's an owner of a team and possibly might own the team one day. So that's a whole different conversation for another day. But yeah, man, that's interesting, man. I wanted to. I thought you watched the other. I sent it to you. But
yeah, it do sound like a hater. It do sound like a hater. It's like you sound like those dudes that like. Like when quarterbacks start to run, he's like, hey, they can't be running like that. You can't be running and throwing the ball. You gotta choose. You're gonna be a running back. You be like, come on, dog. Like you act like this man like has to like spend every waking moment of his day to be an analyst. Like he doesn't.
He was reaching though when he said disrespect to analysts, and I was like, what the hell, disrespect? Like how's he disrespecting them?
Reaching, bro. Like in fact, Tom Brady studying other teams, that's going to be part of his job. If let's say he's president of football operations, having intel on other teams, studying other teams is part of his job. So ipso facto, he'll still be doing his job as an analyst. He'll just be talking about it one day out of the week. He can still study the teams throughout the week, talk about the teams on Sunday, and keep his same responsibility. It's not and his role as minority owner, that's not a day-to-day job. That's not something you have to be in every single day, unless he's actually president of football operations. He's actually president of football operations.
He is,
but I think he's that's why I think they got rid of Tom Telesco, because part of the reason is why they want to be able to pair the coach with a GM that they can trust, but also I think that Tom Brady wants somebody in that position that he can trust. And he saw how Tom Telesco got down. He was like, I'm cool over this dude. I don't, I'm good. I can get somebody else that can do what you just did. Like I'm not impressed. You didn't address the quarterback position. Like you didn't really do much of anything. You didn't do much of anything. A lot of people feel he overpaid for Christian Wilkins. I ain't one of those people, but that was some of the sentiment that was going around. So it's like, well, like I can get Joe Schmo to do that. Like I want a guy in here that's more dynamic, that's more creative, that's more willing to do creative things via trade, whether that be team to team trades, whether it be trades in the draft, and be more creative in free agency, and be more creative with how they're structuring contracts. Like I think he saw this stuff as like, know what, I can do better than this. I could put somebody in this position where I have the trust. I have the trust of the coach, and he has my trust as well. That's why like, a lot of people talking about Liam Cohn. I think with his relationship with Spytech, I think that might be the leader in the clubhouse for a head coach and GM combination.
Spytech, man, that's a crazy last name right there, Spytech.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. But especially when you involved with Tom Brady, like
and the Raiders,
Spytech,
and the Raiders too, right? Raiders, you know what I mean? If you want to take it back, you want to take it all the way back. We the originator when it comes to you ain't trying if you cheating or something like that. But Space B says, remember last year we didn't like that there weren't many interviews at all. Facts. And that's because the Raiders kind of made their decision at head coach. Yeah. But this year, I think they're going in there with the open mind, and it feels like they're going to be interviewing a few head coaches. I'm sure they're going to pick their brains. But I will say, though, I did, when I found out Saleh was actually interviewing for a head coaching job next week, I think that's what they're saying is scheduled next week. I thought possibly it was a chess move because Saleh's a really good defensive mind. You bring him in the building. If he doesn't get a head coaching job this offseason, you already brought him in. He already sees he's already in the building. He sees the facilities. He sees the vision. He's already talked to Tom Brady. He's already talked to the people in the building. Maybe, possibly, he could be an add to this coaching staff, whoever the head coach is going to be. Because I don't think it's going to be Saleh. I don't think it's going to be Saleh.
I don't think it's going to be Saleh. But last year we hired Tom Telesco. Nobody thought he was going to be the GM. So I ain't saying no to nothing.
Right. But we'll see, man. Well, let's get into the chat real quick. Telesco fingerprints on last season's failure too. Yeah. I mean, the biggest, like we said, was the quarterback. Didn't address the quarterback position, and you could say maybe offensive line too.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Maybe you want to say running back as well.
Running back, yeah. There you go. And also, man, I don't. Would you say Devontae Adams too? Like we should have traded him early because the only reason why I say this, is because we found out after the fact. And the reason why we call Devontae Adams fake is because he was asking for a trade indirectly and adding all the noise to the media. Yeah. And acting like it was coming from, somewhere else outside of him, but really it was just his team or whatever, It was him. And then even if, I don't know if it was Ian Rappaport that reported this, but they were saying that Devontae went to the team, or the agent went to the team to reevaluate his future. Yeah. So, and this was last year. This was last season. So, like, yeah, and that you can make a point that Telesco wasn't there, but I'm sure he probably knew about it during the offseason. He's a new GM. He probably could have been like, you know what? Yeah. We probably would have got a second round pick, maybe first, possibly.
First is a stretch, maybe a second. But
I'm just saying, last year.
Devontae handled his business. Oh, last year. Oh, like
after the season, right after the season.
Maybe because he had a pretty good year. He had a
pretty
his
stock was still like
the
high.
Year before.
Yeah, his stock was still high. He's still known as one of the best receivers in the game, top 3 at his position. So I'm sure, you could have probably swindled a second round pick at worst. At worst.
We damn near got one now. I mean, but we got a pretty high first round pick. I mean, third round pick rather. Which could have been a second. Had Devontae taking care of his business when he got over there with his buddy, but which I was gonna say something. This conversation was happening before the show about a certain
yeah, man. House junkies, man. A blind person has more of an edge of hiring a good GM, and head coach Mark needs to step down as soon as possible. Look, man, it's not gonna happen anytime soon.
Definitely not happening.
I feel you, man. I was with you like the other day, man. If you watched the show the other day on 50/50 show every Tuesdays, make sure to tune in, make sure to subscribe. But yeah, man, Mark, he's partly to blame too. He's part of the problem too. But he's trying. That's the argument for Mark is that he's trying. That's the argument for Mark Davis is that he's actually trying. He's not like trying to be cheap or anything like that, but he's actually trying. Like him getting Tom Brady in the building and actually having him like call the shots is him like, hey, I'm trying to do whatever it takes to win. So why not get the ultimate winner at quarterback? Call the shots and get people and oversee the GM and what goes on in the franchise. But it's a risky move, very risky. But hey, man, we're at a point where we got to try everything.
The thing with Mark is that he is doing a lot of the right things, but he's doing them in the dumbest ways possible. Like he's just doing them in ways that just make us look bad. Like if you want to fire, a lot of people were cool with firing Antonio Pierce. If you want to fire Antonio Pierce, fine, okay. I didn't think I thought he should have gotten at least one more year. But if you were saying, hey, you know what, we're going to wipe the slate completely clean and fire Antonio Pierce, cool. Don't let him go out there on that Monday and have that press conference. If you're going to fire Tom Telesco, don't leak to the media that he's staying and then fire him 4 or 5 days later, right? And some of what Mark was doing, some of what he's doing is real smart. Some of what Mark is doing real smart. You think about like the amount of money that he's netted, especially right now when the franchise values are at an all-time high. The amount of money he's netted by selling 30% of the team. He's literally netted hundreds of millions of dollars in those sales, which allows him to say, you know what, I can spend money on a new head coach. I can spend money on a new GM. I can spend money firing head coaches, firing GMs if they're not the right fit for this team, because I just gained so much liquidity by selling off pieces of this team. But the pieces of this team, or the people that I sold these pieces of the team to, are actually going to be assets to the team and actually help grow the worth of the team. So where I'm going to be still making more money and they're going to be making more money as well. So I think he's doing the intelligent things, but like I said, he's just doing it in like the trashy way.
Right. And All Eyes on G is saying Brady is no more than advice for Mark. People making it seem like Brady's a GM. No, I see. I see what you're doing there, All Eyes, man. I hear what you're saying, but we know what Mark likes to do. Mark, what does Mark always say? I'm not really a football guy. I don't really know too much about football. What he likes to do is hire people that do, which is a good thing. That's what that's what I want. The problem with Mark is sometimes when he is frustrated or impatient, just like a lot of owners, the worst ones, they'll go ahead and they'll fire a guy a year too soon, or not let it unfold the way it's supposed to. And I think with Tom, I think he believes in him so much. I think he's definitely going to be leaning on Tom. He literally said it in the owners meeting. He said, I'm going to be leaning on Tom Brady, especially with the quarterback. He's gonna be in that building. He's gonna be talking to Tom. Tom is gonna be. You don't think with AP getting fired, you don't think Tom Telesco getting fired, you think that was a Mark Davis call? I think that was Brady. I think that was Brady probably telling Mark, hey, look, in order for us to get the best candidate, we need to, find a GM that works well with the coach. And on top of that, Tom wants probably his own people in the building. He wants his own coach. He wants the coach that he picks, the GM that he picks. Because if he's going to be the guy that oversees, and just listen to Mark Davis talk about Tom Brady, like he has big plans for him. Like as of right now, he understands that he has an obligation with Fox, but eventually he wants him to have a big role with the franchise. But that's what he said in the owners meeting to the reporters there. But behind the scenes, it's probably starting now, right now.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like,
and no, it's I'm sure it started already. It's been started.
Right.
It started previously.
Nah, facts. Brady pissing off NFL pundits. He's officially a Raider. Nah, for real, man. But yeah, man, we appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Let's actually get into the Around the Nation, man. Around the Nation, where everybody's talking about. And I think outside of Tom Telesco getting fired have been the head coaches.
Yeah.
The head coaches that have been connected to the Raiders. So far, we've heard Todd Monken being connected to the Raiders, meaning that they've requested an interview. He's right now he's the offensive coordinator for the Ravens. Obviously, he has obligation to the team because they're in the playoffs. So, they're probably going to have to wait, and it's probably going to be a virtual interview until after the divisional rounds, I believe. After the divisional rounds, I think they can do in-person interviews. And then obviously tomorrow, I'm not sure if Aaron Glenn is going to be tomorrow, but I know they requested an interview with defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn. But tomorrow evening, they're going to do a virtual meeting with Ben Johnson, which everybody's excited about. We'll see how that goes. And the good thing about the Ben Johnson interview, he said that he's not going to do interviews with people that he's not really considering.
Yeah.
With teams that he's not really considering. So he's just not going to do interviews just to do interviews. So for him to accept the interview for the Raiders, that means he's highly intrigued. But the Raiders don't have a young QB in place. So compared with like the Bears or the Jaguars or even the Patriots, when you think about it, when you think about it that way, do you think that means that the Raiders are going to have to give him a little bit more as far as maybe control of the roster, picking the players, like in order to entice him to become the coach for the Raiders?
I'm sure that's part of the calculation as to why we got rid of Tom Telesco. I mean, I'm sure that's something. I'm sure that's something that they considered about all of the candidates they're going to potentially bring in. The fact that they'll probably want to be able to, like I said before, choose a GM that they trust. I'm sure that that weighed heavily. And if you go to the Jaguars, you have that potential to do that. You don't mean of the jobs, really the only ones where you have the potential where the people might actually want to go, right? You don't have that with the Bears. They already have polls. And you don't have that with the Patriots because I believe they have Ron Wolf's son there. So you have that with the Jaguars because their owner made that clear, and you have it with us because we don't have a GM in place at all. So I think that is something that we're using to entice all of the candidates. Ben Johnson, chief among them, and I'm sure that Mark Davies is going to be more than willing to open up the pocketbooks and say, you know what, name a price. And if we get to a price where he can't walk away, then if we really want to do that, Mark should be able to do that. Back in the day, the Raiders didn't have that, and that's where people underestimate the importance of what Mark has done. They always talk about, because it hasn't worked out yet on the football side of things. But back in the day, we didn't have this kind of cash to compete with other teams, whether that be with coaches or free agents. So we always
Right.
had to go for these bottom rung people. Like John Gruden was kind of like, hey, he was the youngest guy at the time, so we can get him because he was going to be young and this is going to be his first job, right? Remember, we couldn't get a coach, so we had to go with the Art Shell.
Right.
We couldn't get a coach, so we had to hire a young Lane Kiffin. Like we had to do stuff like that. We really couldn't get a coach, so we had to stick with Tom Cable. Like we had to do things like that because we were cash poor as a team. Al Davis wasn't an independently wealthy person. All his wealth was tied up in the Raiders, and there was a time when the Raiders were actually losing money as an NFL franchise. Well, now all of that is reversed. We went from being a team worth $700 million, 11 years ago, to a team worth $7 billion now. To having one of the most valuable stadiums in all of the league, one of the most valuable franchises in all of the league. And now we can kind of throw money around with the big dogs, and we can name our price or tell a coach, name your price, and we can get there. Back in the day, we couldn't do that.
Right. I just think that for a coach, I think that are coming in, they know that they're going to be judged off one thing, and it's wins and losses. And having a quarterback increases their odds of winning football games. And if you're going to compare the Raiders job with, let's say, a Chicago Bears or a team that has a young QB, I'm sure like a Ben Johnson, he's looking at it from perspective like, man, I got my young QB I can develop in a system where I know that works, and I know I can win some games with this guy, and I know the team is going to give me time to develop this QB. With the Raiders, they don't have that young QB.
No.
We just talked about how like AP and Telesco and Ziegler and McDaniels, one of the biggest issues with them was what they didn't really find a young QB to develop. And I'm not counting AOC. AOC was drafted fourth, fifth round? He was a fourth rounder? Yeah. You know what I mean? That's not a high, investment in a QB.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, if it was in the first round, second round, first couple rounds, then maybe, okay, you could say that they actually tried. But fourth round, I wouldn't say is actually trying. And I think with guys like Ben Johnson, I think they're gonna lean towards. I think one of the biggest. I'm not saying the Raiders are gonna be out of it, but I just think that, man, they better Tom Brady, whatever we feel like his impact is going to be, like, this is where it comes in. Hopefully he sells Ben Johnson of becoming a Raider, but we'll see. Raider Smoke, another super chat. If Mark Brady F's this up, I'm crashing out. Side note, if B. Johnson becomes a head coach, he could use Shedeur like Jay Goff, both accurate and can run a system. Yeah, man. I think the Raiders trading up is in play. Yeah. Whoever the GM is going to be, I think that's going to be a big part. I think the next GM that's going to come in is going to be a lot more aggressive than Telesco. Not to say that Telesco did a bad job last year. I just feel like the one thing that I'll say about Telesco that you could probably critique is like he's not as aggressive as some of the GMs in the league. So we'll see, man. We'll definitely see. But so we got Todd Monken. We talked about Ben Johnson, Liam Coleman. There is no, even though we've been connecting the dots with Liam Coleman, like, and shout out to Mo. He was one of the first people that kind of brought us, who actually talked about him earlier in the season. Said that would be maybe a possible head coach candidate if AP didn't get hired, obviously. Or if AP got fired, and obviously AP did get fired. Do you think the Raiders? Do you think he's a good chance that he can become a head coach for the Raiders?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, just that connection to SpyTech. If we're looking at pairings and duos, I think them having that connection, despite Tech having that connection with Tom Brady from his time with the Bucs as well as his time playing for the Wolverines, I think that that lines up really, really nicely. Also, the trend is to hire these young offensive minds, pair them with a young quarterback, kind of let that grow and let that blossom into but potentially a very, very fruitful situation where you have your offensive minded head coach and play caller. Then you have kind of assistant that helps with the quarterback, and you have your young quarterback. And that way, if that OC leaves, you're not losing an entire system. You're not having to scrap everything that young quarterback has learned and start anew. You can plug and play with another offensive coordinator. You're still the play caller, it's still your system. So I think that's kind of the trend, that's the direction the league has mostly been going. And so it's time for us to kind of jump on that wave.
So we talked about this the other day, and now it's official. Pete Carroll it seems like the Raiders have requested or are going to be set up for an interview with him next week. Man, it's interesting, man. He's 73 years old. That's kind of my big flag for me, because I'm thinking long term. How long is he going to be coaching the team? I'm not sure. At 73, I don't know if that's a move that the Raiders should make. Maybe now, if it was a situation where the Raiders are trying to win now, okay. Maybe you can make sense of it, and you got ready to win roster right now. But Carroll, at age 73, I'm not sure if he's going to be a good choice for a team that's still developing, in my opinion. But I mean, what are your thoughts on Pete Carroll?
Yeah, man, I like Pete Carroll. I think he's a guy that he knows how to put together a staff. I think he knows how to build a culture, but we need something long-term and sustainable, and I don't see that in Pete Carroll. Now, maybe if it's a situation where, he has a kind of a coach in waiting type deal, whether that be a guy on offense or defense, he kind of brings him in, and he's the head coach for a certain amount of time, and then we have a guy, kind of a younger guy that we're mentoring, but that gets a little too complicated. That gets a little too complicated to kind of set up that dynamic. So you kind of have to look at Pete Carroll in a vacuum. And Pete Carroll in a vacuum, as I said, I think he's, not to be ageist, but I just think he's too old at this point.
Yeah, man. But if you had to rank them so far, like, what would be your top 3 candidates?
Top 3 candidates is realistic candidates or
any order. In any order, just to keep it simple.
Talking about just realistic people.
Yeah, that the Raiders have been connected to.
Obviously number 1 is Ben Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is, have we been connected to Lincoln?
We've been connecting the dots. There hasn't been anything official.
Okay.
Anything official.
The number 2 would probably be number 2. I would say Aaron Glenn. I guess they're DC. Number 3.
I like Todd Monken. I like Todd Monken, man.
Todd Monken would be 3.
I like
so
Todd Monken.
2 Lion guys,
yeah.
And then Todd Monken at 3.
Yeah, I like Todd Monken because I like what he's done with the offense with the Ravens. Obviously, his history with with Georgia. He's connected to. He's coached Brock Bowers, so he knows how to use them. He's done a really good job with tight ends. Obviously, we got Brock Bowers, and we got our other tight end who was missing basically for most of this year. I think that would be a nice fit, and I like the versatility of him working with different types of quarterbacks, from the Stetson Bennett's to Lamar Jackson. I like, hey, kind of kind of opens the doors for a different type of quarterback to come to the Raiders. It doesn't have to be a pure pocket passer. It could be a, really athletic, more mobile QB. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think that would be an intriguing option for the Raiders, to be honest with you. But that being said, I think everybody else, Spagnuolo, pass. Saleh, pass. Man, I'm not really too excited about those interviews. I mean, maybe pick their brain and see what they have to say about the roster and yada yada yada. But I would be disappointed if we hired Saleh or Steve Spagnuolo as head coach, to be honest, just because they really didn't fare well as head coaches.
True. I won't say I guess I will be. I won't say disappointed, but I'll just be like, it'd be anticlimactic,
Yeah.
It's and just because just because the pick is or just because for me, me personally, the pick will be anticlimactic. That won't mean it's the wrong pick, right? Like I think back to when we drafted Brock Bowers, I had Brock Bowers. I had him rated as my highest pass catcher. Only people I had above him as pass catchers were Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. So I didn't think he was a bad player, but I was just so dead set on quarterback, and I had already made it up in my mind, like, yo, we getting Michael Penix for sure. That when it didn't happen, I was just like, it was just disappointing. And it was anticlimactic for me. But there are a lot of people that love that pick. And it turned out to be the right pick. So just because it's anticlimactic for me and doesn't fulfill what I feel should be the person or the selection, doesn't mean that it's going to be a bad selection. Doesn't mean that it's not the right selection. So I just want to be, just kind of wary of that, because I think we all have in mind or have our heart set on certain people or a certain prototype or archetype in our head coach, and just because we zig when we thought we should have zagged, doesn't mean it's the wrong move.
Yeah, it's just because we kind of had a defensive coach in AP. I know a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, well, he had shortcomings as a game manager and
Yeah.
It's like, man, like we kind of go back to like, all right, if we're gonna go and get Robert Saleh or who's a great defensive minded coach, I get it. Spagnuolo, good defensive minded coach, great DCs, which is different from AP, who wasn't a DC before he became head coach. We would still be like, who's the offensive coordinator?
Yeah.
We'd be like, man, that's why I'm kind of like leaning towards getting like a, we're looking for a quarterback. We want to upgrade that position. We're probably going to trade up and get a quarterback or draft a QB, whatever the case may be. I would like for the coach to be an offensive-minded coach. Now that AP's not there, I'm like, all right, okay, if we're going to go pick a coach, might as well let it be offensive, whether it's Liam Combs, Todd Monken, Ben Johnson, obviously, who's coming in tomorrow. But shout out to Steve, man, super chat. He says if Magic was able to pursue Cliff to go to the Washington Commanders and also pursue LeBron to go to the Lakers, Brady can get Ben to come to the Raiders. Hey, man, I like that, bro. I like that, man. That's a little, it's positivity right there. And that's the hope. That's the hope that what Mark is hoping for is that Brady's impact is also bringing people in the building, having people come to the Raiders that wouldn't have thought to come to the team just based off the reputation. For the last, how many years that the Raiders have been losing and have all types of dysfunction going on with the team, Brady kind of brings in that reputation of winning and doing whatever it takes. And I'm sure, he's going to try to get people to buy in. So that's the plan. That's what I'm hoping. And like I said, Ben Johnson, he said like this season, I don't know if it was during the season or after the season where people were talking to him about like, his future and him possibly being a head coach, he says, I'm not going to be accepting any interview just to go to interview. So, man, he's super confident, man. I'm not going to lie. He's super confident for him to literally, pass up opportunities to become head coach because he felt like, he still wanted to, he has some unfinished business with Detroit, who right now I would say is a favorite to win the Super Bowl right now. Like as everybody's favorite team to win the Super Bowl. But we'll see. And also there's a report that says Johnson is also not he's open to staying with the Lions too. But that could just be his agent. That could be his agent trying to create leverage and be like, you know what, like you better come through with these demands.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past him. People thought he was probably the number one guy in the last cycle, and what happened? He came back to because he said he had unfinished business with the Lions. So I wouldn't put it past him to go back if he like I said, bro. Like I said before, this isn't a situation where they have to make a selection. This ain't musical chairs where you have to take a seat or you lose. He can always say, I'm good on this until next year. And then start the process all over again. And hopefully, there's some better opportunities out there for him. So, do I think we'll get Ben Johnson? I think we put ourselves in contention when we fired Telesco because though we lack a quarterback, the teams that have quarterbacks, they have GMs already, right? You look at the Patriots, they have Drake May, but they also have a GM solidified in Wolf. You look at the Bears, they have Caleb Williams, but they also have a GM solidified in Poles. So, we don't have the quarterback, but we don't have a GM either. So that means he'll be very involved in the selection and the molding of this team, and through his relationship with the GM. Whereas in those other spots, there's going to be a little bit more distance between himself and the GM. So that could potentially give us an in on Ben Johnson. But like I said, the quarterback is extremely valuable. And if he doesn't, and also it also depends on how he feels about those guys, right? If he's not high on what he saw from Caleb, if he's not high on what he saw from Drake May, if he's not high on what he's seen from Trevor Lawrence, he might say, you know what, I'm not really too keen on any of these guys. Maybe he really loves Shador. Maybe he really loves Cam Moore. Maybe he really loves Jalen Monroe or Jackson Dart or Dylan Gabriel or somebody in this class. It's like, man, if I can get my hands on them, like I can do something. And so maybe he's looking at it that way.
What gives us the advantage over like the Bears is that they have Ryan Poles ready in place. So he has to go in there basically understanding that the GM that he's going to be working with is a guy that is probably not going to be his first choice because he probably wants a guy like you mentioned, Ray Agnew, right? Another, and then also the Jacksonville Jaguars, they have Trent Baalke, but the owner said the other day, all it takes is the conversation. Basically say if you want to get rid of him, then he'll make sure to do that. So that's that situation. But the Patriots, I think the Patriots job, I think Vrabel pretty much took that off the market. So that gives us more. I think that kind of raises the Raiders job, basically spot for some of these coaches. Because if Vrabel is going to go to the Patriots, the Patriots already have a quarterback in place. Vrabel's a defensive-minded coach. More offensive coaches left for the Raiders to pick from. But we got people pulling up, man. Make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. So Sir Chai 87 says white Raider fans want a white cerebral white QB again. I don't think that's the case. Yeah, I don't think that's the case, man. I think at the end of the day, man, we just want a franchise QB.
Exactly, bro. I don't care if he's an alien. It's like just give me somebody that can go through progressions and that can scramble when the pocket breaks down. Like give me if you like, I don't care what you are.
Nah, facts, 100%. And he says Ben Johnson needs a Super Bowl win before demands. Well, Damn, man, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. He's kind of built up his leverage over the last few off seasons by
exactly
kind of like last year. Did he take any interviews last year? I don't know if he even taken interviews last year.
I don't recall.
I'm not sure if he took any. I think the Commanders wanted to interview him and he denied it. Like he canceled the interview, I believe. I think the Commanders were.
But everybody thought the Commanders were going to be a dumpster fire. I mean, Jaden Daniels has put a lot of makeup on that pig. Like a lot of people was like, "You going with Dan Quinn?"
But they had a number 2 pick.
Retread.
They had a number 2 pick. They had a number 2 pick and a quarterback heavy draft.
But people thought that situation was horrible. Like you had a rookie GM, you had a retread as a head coach, a brand new owner who just took over. The culture and all of DC was bad. Like Magic Johnson said it best. Like
he would have been the head coach.
Jaden Daniels is transforming that organization.
You said a retreat at head coach, but
he would have been head coach. He would have been head coach.
Yeah, he would have been a head coach, so he would have had his coaching staff there.
I'm sure.
You know what I mean? He would have had, the GM. GM would have been. I mean, I don't know if it was. Maybe that would have been a negative for him. Was maybe the GM was a guy that he didn't. Yeah, Peters. He wasn't familiar with. So you know what? Hey, man, maybe the Raiders do have the edge right now. Because they're going to give him that ability to pick his own GM. I'll say the Jaguars would be like the only team where I'm like, oh, okay, maybe they'll give him whatever he wants. But then like you look at the Jaguars, they got their own issues or whatever. But pretty much. But appreciate the super chat. Let's move it along real quick, man. Let's move it along real quick, man. And the chat is going crazy. Make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Yeah, man, I think that right now, like, that's all we've been hearing. I thought was interesting? I'll put this on the screen real quick, man. Aaron Glenn, he denied an interview with the Patriots. So he declined. He declined that interview, which is interesting because that's a team that, obviously has a QB. And, it could be an option for a guy like Aaron Glenn, go to a team that already has a QB in place. He's already been connected to the Raiders and other teams. So that's another guy. What do you think? Do you think that, I know I want an offensive guy, but are you 100% sold that the best option is going to be an offensive guy, or do you think a defensive coach could work? Because I'm thinking like who would be the OC?
Yeah, I think that's the issue you run into. I think a defensive coach can definitely work. I mean, the last time we had success and went to the playoffs with a under normal circumstances, under a non-interim situation, was with Jack Del Rio. So so a defensive coach can definitely work. It's just that the wave right now is to, especially with the situation we're in, if we're going to draft a young quarterback, you don't want to put him in a situation where he's going to be having to learn multiple systems, because our offensive coordinator has had success and he gets hired as a head coach somewhere else. So that's why I kind of think, though, you'd rather pair a young offensive mind with your rookie quarterback or with your young quarterback.
Jody says Liam Cohen said he would like to be a head coach at some point. Sounded like he likes Tampa. What about Joe Brady? No, I don't know about Joe Brady. I'm not really.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm not. But I think Liam Cohen. I believe if the Raiders are going to request an interview for him to become to at least become or inquire about him becoming a head coach, I think he would accept it. I don't see him denying that. You think Liam Cohen would stay and be an OC, or to kind of take like the Ben Johnson route?
I mean, I don't think any of these coaches are going to take bad jobs. Like I think enough people have learned from the failures of other coaches, especially where if you're a hot commodity, you won't take a bad job just so you take a job. Because that can blow up in your face. Now, also, not taking a job when you have an opportunity that could blow up in your face too. But I think most of these guys have enough faith in themselves and their own abilities where they feel that they can keep duplicating the performances that they're putting up, where they'll feel they'll still be a candidate later on. So if the job isn't right, they'll stay put. As you said, Ben Johnson did that last year.
Ooh, I forgot about this. So I don't know. Did we talk about this last show? Tomlin might be available. There are rumors that if like Tomlin goes one and done, like and loses against the Ravens, that the Steelers possibly might, let him go as a head coach, or trade him. But let's say if they let him go, let's say they don't it's not a situation where the Raiders have to trade for him. Let's say they actually fire him. Automatically, is he the number one guy?
Oh, without a doubt, bro. Like people was like fawning over Mike Vrabel. Like Mike Tomlin is beating the dog shit out of Mike Vrabel as a head coach. But it's not even. It's like he's miles ahead of him, bro. He's never had a losing season ever. Never had a losing season. He won games early this year with Justin Fields, a quarterback, bro. Like he's a miracle. He's a miracle worker. Like he's never had a losing season ever. The lowest he's ever been was 8-8, and I think he's like, I forgot how many games over 500 as a head coach. He's won multiple Super Bowls. Matter of fact, we did talk about it because we talked about like nobody, like, think about this. Nobody knew about AB until AB left the Steelers.
Damn, if we get Mike Tomlin, bro. If we get Mike Tomlin, man, damn. I at that point, I'm just.
And remember, look.
OC though, OC is gonna be huge.
Look, but
still OC is gonna be a big thing.
That's from people that are Steelers fans. Their biggest complaint about Mike Tomlin is that he doesn't know how to hire OCs. So he always hires bad OCs. But he hires bad OCs and still wins.
Right.
He still wins all the time.
Right.
Even with these bad OCs. Bro, man, we can't win. When we have good OCs, bad OCs.
He won with Kenny Pickett.
Either way.
He won with Kenny Pickett at QB. He was winning games.
Kenny Pickett.
On Roethlisberger's last legs. I remember Roethlisberger's last year. He was terrible. He was bad.
Bro.
Roethlisberger's last year as a quarterback, he should have retired the year before. He should have never came back and played that last year.
Yeah.
But they found a way to win games. He was winning
games with Mason Rudolph. He won games with Mason Rudolph at quarterback. Like, he just finds ways to win, man. He finds ways to win. And bro, if they're foolish enough to let him go, bro, you back up the Brinks truck. And you bring him home.
Hey, Marty Mart, man, I might be with you, man. I think I'm with you right there, man. Todd Monken might be right after Ben Johnson. But Liam Coleman is a good option too. I'm not gonna lie. I like Liam Coleman. I think the job that he did this year, especially with with Baker Mayfield. But you kind of have to. It started with Dave Canales, who now is the head coach with the Panthers, who was the OC for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But man, I think I felt like Baker Mayfield took his game to another level this year. Man, and Baker Mayfield, man, he literally changed his whole career. We thought he was done. We thought he was a bust at one point. Hey, his career, he was literally a free agent signing. I just remember, y'all remember that game where the Rams needed a quarterback. They signed him off the street. 2 days later, comes in and beats the Raiders. And the crazy thing is, the Raiders had an opportunity to sign Baker Mayfield. We had that opportunity, but instead we went with who?
Yep.
Jimmy
Garoppolo.
Jimmy G, bro. Jimmy Trash. But Nick Saban, nah, man. I'm cool.
Yeah.
Nick Saban out here beefing with folks, man. He was hella mad the other day. I don't know if you've seen that.
No, I haven't.
Oh man, it was. You ever see that show called The Tires? It's on Netflix. It's like the main actor from there was on the panel, and he was cracking jokes, and basically Todd McAfee was like literally was like, oh yeah, he like because Nick Saban was pretty much, the way he responded to him was like pretty serious. I think the actor was like, I forgot what his name is, man. I'm trying to think of his name, but he said something to the effect that, you know, that Alabama paid for players, or paid something right there, that he basically implied that Alabama did something they paid for all their wins or whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah.
And he didn't know that Nick Saban was there, and then the way the dude explained it, he was like, Todd McAfee was like, he told him that, like, oh man, it's not a big deal, like he's not that mad, but the whole time he was super serious. He was you could tell he was hella mad. He just kept cracking jokes. It was hilarious. I gotta, well, you know what? Let me actually I gotta pull. I'll find the clip. I'll send it to you, man. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I gotta check it out.
Yeah, man. Jody says not sure about Brady and Tomlin mix, but Brady's really familiar with Mike Tomlin though. He's familiar with him for sure. For sure, and he understands. So that I'll tell you that. I like to pick their brain part. Belichick, Pete. Do you think that I don't know, man. Do you think that's what it is? To pick their brain?
That's what people said about Brady. Or about Belichick, rather. Brady reaching out to Belichick. They said it wasn't for him to potentially be the coach. It was just more so, hey, you know what should I be looking for? What kind of traits? You know, what should I be asking? And that kind of situation. So the Belichick part of it, the Pete Carroll, I think they legit have interest in Pete Carroll.
You think they have legitimate interest in Pete Carroll?
Yeah.
73 though, man. 73, man. To me, that's a no-brainer. Like, hey, man, hey, we love you as a head coach. You're all-timer. You know, you did your thing with USC and the Seahawks, but pass. It's pass, man. It's not a good fit, in my opinion. But, you know, we'll see, man. The Raiders always surprise you. They always surprise you.
Yeah. Facts.
Brim says, what about Rex Ryan for coach or Jim Schwartz? We need a defensive coach. He's saying we need a defensive coach, man. What you think?
I don't say we need a defensive coach. Like I said, the last time a head coach, a full-time head coach took us to the playoffs was Jack Del Rio. So I can see it working with the defensive coach. I wouldn't mind a decent defensive coach. I wouldn't be opposed to it. But, you know, kind of the wave of the league is to go with a young offensive mind at head coach, especially if you have a young quarterback. So, you know, that's we kind of see how that kind of helped in the maturation of Bryce Young. Last year, he had Frank Reich, who's an older guy, even though he was an offensive-minded head coach, is an older guy. This year, he has Dave Canales, and, you know, it's kind of night and day difference from where he was last year to where he is this year.
Pittsburgh stupid to let Tomlin walk regardless. Yeah.
Oh,
I think it's
ridiculous.
I think you know what it is. It's like sometimes people, you know, you don't know what you have until it's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, man, you lose out on Tomlin, man. Who's going to be the replacement? Who's going to be next in line? I don't know who that would be. I think you would think they would have someone lined up. You would think they would have someone lined up. What is Tom's playoff record the last few years? Man, you know what? I'll give Tomlin a break just because, like, he's doing it without a quarterback.
Exactly.
He's doing it without a quarterback. I mean, this year he had Russell Wilson, who has, you know, a little bit of a resume, but, you know, he was hurt to begin the year, and he's, you know, Russell Wilson is not the same player he was back in his heyday. I mean, he's not the same player. You know, he's not as athletic as he was, and that was a big part of his game, buying some time and you know, Russell Wilson magic. You know what he does, but we'll see, man. They got a playoff game. They're in the playoffs, so we're talking about a team that's in the playoffs. So that's one thing we can't forget. Big Ben had to be almost caught off. That YouTube voice? No, that's what the year before Jimmy. Let's see. Vrabel, yeah, that's what, man. I'm trying to tell Severe, man. Vrabel is solid.
Vrabel is
he's solid.
Vrabel is like
and y'all
on a scale from 1 to 100, Vrabel is like a 67. He's the definition of like slightly above mid, but still
you tripping,
like
bro. You tripping. I think he's a solid coach, man. Solid coach. He was winning games with an average QB.
He had an elite wide receiver and an elite running back, and a very good offensive line too.
Mm-hmm.
And he had Jonnu Smith, so he had a very good tight end, a very good tight end, of an elite running back and an elite wide receiver.
I get you, but you don't see a lot of the teams that are winning nowadays. They're not winning with that formula, and he was able to do that. Imagine giving him a quarterback. And you know what, Raider Nation, y'all might not like this, but I think he's possibly, well, not the fact that he's going to go to the Patriots, is that I think, in my opinion, they're connecting the dots with OC, and the biggest name is Josh McDaniels, and I think that's a great hire because Josh McDaniels as a OC, I think could get it done. As a head coach, no. So you give a guy like Vrabel a good OC, he wins games. And he did that when he had Arthur Smith and Matt LaFleur and all those guys. He did make a mistake in hiring Todd Downing, but hey, it happens. I don't think he's a bad coach. I think he's a solid coach, and I think the Patriots went that route. I think it's not a bad hire, man. And even if the Raiders went that, if the Raiders went ahead and hired to me, in my opinion, Vrabel, I wouldn't be mad at it. If they hired McDaniels at OC, that would be hilarious. That'd be funny. Yeah, and I don't think they would do it though. They don't got the balls to do it. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. The fans would just go crazy every time they see McDaniels.
What we would learn immediately about Mike Vrabel is that Mike Vrabel is no longer in a division where he's playing the Colts and the Texans and the Jaguars. He's not. Look at his division. His division was trash. He's not going to be in a trash division anymore. He's not going to be by far the best team in the division anymore. He doesn't have that luxury. So he's going to actually have to earn his keep. And he's going to have to do it without an elite running game, without an elite wide receiver, but with a very good tight end.
The Patriots were dominant for all those years, right? But they were in a trash division too, and they won Super Bowls. So you're going to take that away from the Patriots because they were in a trash division, and they had playoff success, winning Super Bowls. The year he took I think his second year coaching the Titans, they went to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, but the Patriots were dominant in a bad.
He beat Tom Brady in the playoffs. He beat Tom Brady in the playoffs.
They were dominant in a bad division. Dominant in a bad division. They weren't just skating by. He has two seasons with double-digit wins. 2 out of 6. That's not dominating. The Patriots were dominant. Show me domination when you're in a bad division. He didn't do that.
Okay, I mean the Patriots were dominant because. Let's be honest. Let's be real. Who? Because of who? He's in the building. He's in the Raiders building.
Yeah.
They were because of Tom Brady.
They didn't start. The Patriots the Patriots won 11 games without Tom Brady. They won 11 games with Matt Castle.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I understand that, but I would say the majority of the success. And what did they do? What did the Patriots do that year? What did they do? Did they win the Super Bowl?
They missed the playoffs.
They missed the playoffs.
They won 11 games and missed the playoffs.
Okay,
but they won 11 games.
Okay.
You know what? That's higher than 4 of his 6 seasons. That 11 games is more than him. He couldn't do that in 4 of his 6 seasons in a bad division. So that means if you win 11 games and you miss the playoffs, guess what that means? That means you didn't win your division. So that means they did win 11 games in a bad division. Mike Vrabel couldn't dream of doing that. Couldn't dream. If he woke up and thought about doing that, he better slap himself and go back to sleep.
So you don't think he's a good coach?
He's an average coach. Average.
Average?
The definition of average. He took over a 9-7 team and went 9-7 2 years in a row.
Okay.
He took over a 9-7 team and went 9-7.
You know what? Name another average coach. Name another average coach. Name another average coach.
Another average coach.
Yes, I want to know what another average coach looks. Because you're calling Mike Vrabel average. I'm like, I'm saying he's solid. I think he's above average.
Solid
He's
is
above
solid is average.
No,
Solid
solid ain't average. Solid for me ain't average. Like if I say you're solid, then that means you're good. You're good. You're good. You're good, man. So, give me another average coach.
Average.
I want to know what another average coach look like. So it gives me a little bit more context because we might be speaking the same language. You never know.
Another average coach. Mike McCoy was pretty average. His time with the Chargers. Mike McCoy is average. I bet you.
Mike McCoy.
So you don't think Michael McCoy? Okay, let's see. Okay. Right.
Man.
Watch this. Watch this. Watch this.
You said Mike McCoy? You comparing Mike McCoy to Mike Vrabel? Come on, man. Come on, son. That's okay. Wild, bro. That's wild, man. That's wild. See now, come on. This is crazy. Let's see what the chat's talking about right now. AJ Simpson, he says Mike Vrabel would have us picking between 15 and 20 forever purgatory. Okay, so you're not a big Mike. So you're saying Mike. Basically, you're saying that he's average too. AJ Simpson agrees. He thinks that he's not that good of a coach. Marty Mark, exactly. Tannehill was trash. He was trash.
Tannehill was not trash.
And
he's average quarterback. Tannehill was better than any quarterback we have.
He's
about the same as Derek Carr.
Okay, and then what do people call Derek Carr every other game? Trash.
He's average.
I said every other game they call him trash. Every other game. He'll play good. He'll play good one. He'll play solid. He'll play solid or good one game and then.
But guess what? If you give Derek Henry on those trash games, you know what? I'm just going to hand the ball off to Derek Henry 25 times. They changed the dynamic of the team.
AJ McDaniels is he's a good offensive coordinator. He's a good offensive coordinator. He's a good offensive. That's what he's been successful for. It's not because the Raiders didn't hire him because he's a successful head coach. They hired him because he's such a good offensive coordinator and he's had success, I guess, coaching QBs most of those years of Tom Brady. But you mentioned Matt Castle and there's the Mac Jones. Hey, I think it's not a bad hire for Mike Vrabel. I think it would be a pretty solid hire, especially for the Patriots. That's where he's he knows a lot of people in that building. He has a lot of relationships. I think it'd be a good fit. But I know, as a head coach, terrible. He's trash as a head coach. Titans, exactly. Titans the worst team in football now without Vrabel. Whew.
They were the worst team in football, or one of the worst teams in football with Vrabel. They won 4 games this year. They won 6 his last year. Come on, bro. Knock it off, man. Knock it off. They won two less games this year. That's with Will Levis and Mason Rudolph at quarterback. Without Derrick Henry, without AJ Brown, without DeAndre Hopkins. Come on now. Don't even try that.
Man, you talk about supporting cast players, but hey, at the end of the day, the most important position in football, you already know, is quarterback, because the issues with the Raiders the last few years is
They have a worse quarterback situation.
They haven't had a quarterback, right? We've had the Devontae Adams. We've had the Brock Bowers. We've had the Jacoby Myers. We have the supporting cast, but we haven't had the quarterback, and we can't win games. So you can name all those players all you want, but it's harder. It's harder to win.
But now the Titans have a worse quarterback situation. They have a worse quarterback situation than when they had Tannehill. A worse one. And they only won 2 games less.
And their coach is questionably worse too.
And they only won 2 games less.
My bad, bro.
Well, rookie head coach.
Yeah, rookie head coach. Yeah, I'll give him some time. I don't want to throw the book at him this early, but right now, the book, we don't know if he's going to be good or not. But Steve with the super chat, man. Appreciate it. He says, Pharaoh, severe, real talk. How many games would AP, salute to Real Talk Raider Nation if he's in the chat, man. Salute to him. He says, how many games would AP in this year's Raiders would win if we were in the AFC South?
7.
I mean, I don't know.
7.
Texas would have won. Texas would have swept us. The Colts is kind of damn, man. They are.
Coaches, but we beat the Jaguars already.
It would have been Colts would have been like a split, because
we beat the Jaguars already. Look. So how many games we won? 4, and that's without winning any division games. So so let's say, but one of those games we won was the Jaguars. So yeah, we won like 6 or 7. We probably would split with the Colts. We won 6 or 7. Like Mike Vrabel's last year, and come on, bro, you're not about to do this.
What I mean, you could talk about the division, but still, at the end of the day, like it doesn't change the fact that he's a solid coach. He's a good coach. He's not a bad coach. He's not a bad coach.
Your division determines determines your opponents. If we have 3 teams in the playoffs, 3.
So he doesn't get credit for taking the team to the AFC Championship game and beating Tom Brady and beating Tom Brady on the road in New England.
It was in the snow. It was all downhill from there. It was all downhill.
It's probably snowing. I don't know if it was snowing, but it was probably snowing.
But it was all down here from there though. That was his. It wasn't. It was an AFC Championship game. It was probably maybe a wild card game. But
no. They advanced the AFC Championship game, but one of the wins was an upset win against the Patriots, I believe. The Titans, they beat the Patriots in the playoffs. Tom Brady was the quarterback. Brady was that quarterback. They beat Tom Brady in the playoffs? Are you serious?
Tannehill do that game?
Come on,
man. What did Tannehill do that game?
Tom Brady, the refs.
What did Tannehill do that? So Ryan Tannehill beat Tom Brady in the playoffs. What you're telling me?
All right, let's see what Tannehill did that game. Let's see what Tannehill did. I want to know. All right, you know what? Okay, was that okay? So hold on. Let me. What year was that? It was second year of Mike Vrabel's coaching. All right, I'm gonna look this up real quick, man. I'm about to look this up. You know, Mike Vrabel. Let's see. I'm looking at it a different. Let me see. Oh, man, hold up. He was a coach, Tennessee. So it's 2019.
No, Ryan Tannehill played trash. Derrick Henry won that game.
No. Don't talk about no Derrick Henry. Don't talk about Derrick. Let's talk about Ryan Tannehill. Let's talk about Ryan Tannehill. What did he do?
Ryan Hill played like trash. He played like trash.
He don't want to say it. He don't want to say the stats.
But one of the things I said, I already said it.
Chad, help me out. Help me out, Chad.
72 yards, 1 touchdown.
What'd he do?
He went. I got the stats right here. He went 8 for 15. He went 8 for 15 for 72 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Derrick Henry went for 34 carries, 182 yards. Like I said, when he has a bad game, he can just rely on Derrick Henry. That was what I've been saying the entire time. He was like, "Oh no, it's all about the quarterback." Derrick Henry ran for damn near 200 yards.
It's not that. He knew he knew who the best players were on the team were, and he leaned on the best players. And Ryan Tannehill has never been the best player on that team. That's
what I said. That's what I said the entire time. That's what I said. It don't matter about nobody else. You matter about the quarterback. I said, he had Derrick Henry and AJ Brown and Jonnu Smith and a great offensive line.
You're looking at it as a slight, though. You're looking at it as
matters because he had Ryan Tannehill.
You're looking at it as a slight, though. I'm
he
looking
didn't
at
get
it as
that. The GM got that.
I'm looking at it as a strength as a head coach who can win football games, even though he can't lean on his quarterback.
He didn't get that
to win football games. In today's NFL, it's still 2018, 2019. It's still a quarterback's league. It's still, you know what I mean? It's still a passing league. It's still a quarterback's league. So I think it's impressive that he can win football games.
But you don't have a Derrick Henry to lean on. You don't have that. He had Derrick Henry to lean on. Derrick Henry was the engine behind that team.
I understand.
He was King Henry, rushing leader.
I get
in
it.
the MVP conversation.
I get it, man. I get it.
So he's not going to have that.
All right. Let's see what the chat. Let's see what the chat is talking about, man. He was. Me and Sider, man. Hey, Dixon, man. He says he wasn't happy with Trav. We on the same page, man. We on the same page. You said 10. I would be. See, when I say he's average, I'm being nice. So if y'all want to call him trash, hey, I'm with y'all. I don't think he's that good. I didn't think Tannehill was that good. He's out the league. He's 34 years old. He's out the league. I mean,
Flacco was out the league too. Baker Mayfield was out the league too. Until somebody gave him a
Flacco's in his 40s. He's pretty much in his 40s. And don't compare him. Don't compare him to Flacco too. Don't compare him to Flacco.
But I'm saying Baker Mayfield was out of the league too. We just said if Baker Mayfield doesn't get a chance with the Rams, he's likely not back in the league.
But Baker Mayfield is a better QB than I'm not gonna disagree with you.
That's my point. He was a better QB, but he's still out of the league. Like I said, a lot of this stuff has to do with relationships.
All right, man. Well, look. Let's see. TN says Mike Vrabel was coach of the year in 2021. Okay, yeah. So people were.
That's one of the year. That's one of the 2 years he won double-digit games. He won 2 double-digit games, I think, 2020 and 2021. I think he won like 12-5 one year, or 12-4 one year, and 11-5 another year. He won double-digit games 2 years.
Vrabel can coach. I agree. I think he can coach.
He's an average coach.
I'm not calling him the best coach in the NFL, but I think he's a solid coach, man. I think if you give him an offensive coordinator. Give him an OC, man. Hey, look, man. I don't know, man. I thought it was impressive that he was able to beat Tom Brady in the playoffs. To me,
I think it's impressive that Derrick Henry ran for 182 yards in the playoff against the Patriots. I think
for sure, man.
But Vrabel was a coach, so he gets credit for that. But then again, if Vrabel was also just fired. Because he failed to win double-digit games his last 2 years there. So, so all of a sudden he doesn't have Tannehill. He can't win double-digit games. But Tannehill, but he can do it without a quarterback. Who's his quarterback? Oh, so he didn't have Tannehill. He can't win double-digit games. But he did. So you say, oh, well, he needs a quarterback. But you just told me that he can win with a bad quarterback. Because Tannehill, saying he's average is being charitable to him. So which one is it? That's the thing. We moved the goalpost. When he didn't have Derrick Henry, when he didn't have AJ Brown, when he didn't have those kind of playmakers on offense, all of a sudden he couldn't do anything. Ironically, ironic that Mike Vrabel is a defensive coach, right? He's defensive head coach. Right. He leaves. Tennessee has one of the best defenses in the league, but he's supposed to be a defensive-minded head coach. They were number 1 in scoring defense for much of this year. That's after they left, and that's after they fired Mike Vrabel. Why couldn't he do that?
Well, yeah, hey man, you could talk about like him as a defensive coach. You want to nitpick and stuff like that. All I'm saying is he's a solid coach at the end of the day. That's all I'm saying, man. So, to me, he's a good coach. Give him a good OC. I think I've seen some good things from him. I mean, him as a head coach. Real Talk says, I think this is back to when Steve earlier from the super chat was asking how many Raider wins would have won in the AFC South. He says he got us at 6-11 with all those injuries. Oh yeah, you got to account for those injuries too. Those injuries are tough. Maybe 9-8 with less injuries. Okay, all right, man. Win some games in the AFC South. I get you. Hey, look, man. I appreciate the. Hey, look, people appreciate the debate. Yeah, man. Hey, look, I think it's one of those things where me and Severe are gonna agree to disagree on this one. We're gonna agree to disagree on this one. You're saying that he's an average coach. I'm saying that he's a solid good coach.
You think he's a good coach? I mean, just say it.
I asked you to give me an example of another average coach, and you said Mike McCoy. And I'm like, how is that even a compare?
Because I was thinking, because Mike McCoy went 9-7, I think, his first 2 years. I don't remember what he did after that, but I remember him going 9-7 his first 2 years. Same as also like Todd Bowles is like Todd Bowles. I think that's better. Or Raheem Morris. I think those are like average coaches.
Steve, give him a quarterback. Just give him a quarterback. Give him a quarterback. Give him a quarterback. Look, man. Look. He won with what he had. He won with what he had because
until he didn't.
And just
got fired.
Just look at the Raiders, right? We couldn't win with what we had. We didn't have a quarterback, right? We didn't have a quarterback, but we had the best tight end in the game. We once had the best wide receiver in the game. We had one of the best, number 2 receivers. However you want to look at Jacoby Myers, pretty good number 2 receiver. You know what I mean? Michael Mayer, another good complimentary tight end, another weapon on offense. I mean, he missed some games this year, but we know that if utilized right, he can be a weapon. If you want to take it even way back, Josh Jacobs, last couple years before he left, was a good running back. You know what I mean? He was a good running back this year. Last year he had injuries, but all I'm saying is that other coaches had opportunities to win with the talent that we have. The talent that we talked about during the offseason, saying, hey, man, we have this guy. Oh, man, we could have had a time. But for some reason that coaches couldn't win games. And we understand why, because they didn't have a quarterback. The quarterback was like.
If you're asking me, do I think Vrabel is a better coach than Josh McDaniels? Yeah. I mean, yeah. So he was like, I never asked that.
I didn't ask that question.
But that's who the coach was when we had those things. So you're literally comparing Mike Vrabel to Josh McDaniels. Saying, why didn't Josh McDaniels win? Oh yeah, because Mike Vrabel would have done better than Josh McDaniels. Yes,
right.
He would have. But there are dozens of coaches that would have done better than Josh McDaniels as well. That's why Josh McDaniels has been fired 2 times without completing his second year as head coach.
Man, I'm still waiting for an average coach.
I just said Raheem Morris and Todd Bowles.
Raheem Morris and Todd Bowles to Mike Vrabel. What have they done that's in comparison to Mike Vrabel?
That's what I said. They're average.
As far as success, Mike Vrabel's have been a coach of the year. He's taken the team to AFC Championship game. He's won, I think. Let me see. One of the years, I think he won let me see, how many games did he win that? Let's see. When he went 12-5 after going 11-5 that so in 21. So look, you're talking about a coach I feel like who's had more. So you're comparing him to a coach that has all those accolades compared to Raheem Morris, and damn, man, come on, man.
Yeah,
man, I gotta keep about this.
Hell no, to the no.
It's gonna be your theme song, man. It's gonna be your theme. Come on, man. At least let it be close. At least let it be close. If you're gonna say average, at least let it be like, all right, you know what? Okay, if that's where you're saying Raheem Morris. Raheem Morris has been an interim coach. Was he an interim coach before becoming a head coach this year? And then who was the other coach? You said Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles with the Jets. Come on, man. Todd Bowles with the Jets was terrible. I mean, this with the Bucks, he's been a little bit better. He's been a little bit better.
He's an average coach right now.
Nah, it's not. Come on, bro.
He's average.
Nah.
He's an average coach.
Tripping, bro. You tripping on this one. Look, you know what? At the end of the day, I think we agree to disagree. I just don't agree with that. We agree to disagree. Let's see what people in the chat. We said Titans were fired with Derrick Henry and Vrabel and Tannehill. Yeah. I mean, Derrick Henry. I'll say Derrick Henry and Vrabel, and then Tannehill was along for the ride.
So was Mike Vrabel, because as soon as Derrick Henry wasn't there.
Hey man, AJ man, he said, "I'm with you, Severe." I'm with you. Exactly. He's with you. Federal Music, you could say that about any coach. You won't win or go far without talent. The same could be said for Shannon if he didn't have weapons. Yeah. All coaches have to have some level of talent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's about what they do, and also what makes it impressive with some coaches is what they do with what they have too. Like we just talked about Mike Tomlin. He's obviously he's a great coach. For him to have winning season after winning season and not have a good offense or a good quarterback. I mean, I know he had Roethlisberger for a lot of those years, but he won with Kenny Pickett. He won with a whole bunch of quarterbacks. Yeah, Mason Rudolph, and So, but let's see. I can't see Ben Johnson, a good coach, coming here with the Raiders trying to convince while AOC is still starting QB. Who's actually going to trade with us at number 6? They all need QBs. Hey, look, man, Tom Brady. That's all I'm going to say, man. Tom Brady. That's on Tom Brady to convince Ben Johnson. That's the Raiders on to convince Ben Johnson, let him know what the plan is and what they're going to try to do and how they're going to do it and how, they have to sell as much as, the Raiders are interviewing Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson will be, the Raiders are going to have to sell themselves to Ben Johnson. They need to tell them exactly what the plan would be with Ben. So, and Ben needs to talk about how he would go about winning with the Raiders too as well. Like what would the plan be too as well as building his team. So it goes both ways.
Yeah.
Steve says Todd Monken. Man, my guy Steve, man. I appreciate the super chat, man. Appreciate you supporting the show. He said Todd Monken and get Justin Fields, draft Monroe to be Fields' backup. Hey, man, I seen someone learn from the best. Hey, man, I think you did this to get Severe mad, man.
Nah, they've been talking about Justin Fields, bro. I'm not touching Justin Fields, bro, at all. Not doing it.
But hey, Steve, it does make sense though. It does make sense. I could see it because Todd obviously is coaching Lamar Jackson right now in the playoffs. He's done a really good job with him. Justin Fields, I'm sure he probably has some idea on how to use him. And then Milroe, hypothetically speaking, could probably be a backup to Fields. But yeah, I know, Severe. I know you're not big on it, but man, I don't know, man. It's kind of intriguing a little bit, man. Milroe, I'll say Milroe. I like Jalen Milroe. I like the athletic ability, but high upside. But at the end of the day, like I gotta trust the Raiders to develop him because he's not a finished product at QB. So we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. But we appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to click in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Man, hey, man. NFL game picks. It's a wrap, man. Hey, look, I tried my best, man. I really did, man. I started off really tough. I had a tough first week. Let me see if I could pull it up here. I had it up here real quick. Oh man, what happened? Thought I had it up. All right, so this is the final results from NFL game picks for the season. If y'all know, man, we had a friendly wager. Whoever loses has to get a hat. And man, Mike, he's out this week, but he'll be back. He finished 118-73, finished 130-6. 2 games. Severe finished 132-60, man. Severe is the NFL game picks champion this year, man. So salute to him, man. We got to give him a Raiders salute, man. Man, we got to clap it up for Severe, man. He did his thing, man. I ain't gonna lie, man.
Nah, man. Pharaoh dug himself out of a hell of a hole, man.
I tried, man. I tried to come back, man. I tried to come back.
Yeah,
to come back.
If Pharaoh starts off better that 1 week, just that first week,
man,
he's the champ. But hey, it all matters, man. It all matters.
Well, speaking of game picks, even though we're obviously we're gonna have to we're gonna talk about it in future shows and stuff like that. But as far as you're gonna get your hat. You know what I mean? We said 7 and 5/8, 7 and 5/8,
7 3/8. Nah, I was saying, you give me a snap. Hey, where my guy Steve at? Steve, let him know. Steve, let him know what's up.
But hey, look. So we're not. I mean, we could just talk about it. It's not gonna be anything we're gonna wager this weekend. But Chargers and Texans playoffs. Who you got, man, winning that game?
He said, so who is it?
Chargers versus Texans.
Ooh.
This Saturday.
Know what?
Who you got?
Know what?
It's in Houston. It's in Houston.
Know what? I think I think I'm gonna go with the Texans, man. I know they've been kind of struggling. CJ Stroud, he's been getting beat up. He hasn't been playing well this year, especially late. But I think they turn it up to another level in the playoffs. I think they pull it out.
Oh, is this this might be Justin Herbert. Oh, this is second career playoff game. So this is second time in the playoffs.
Yeah, the first time Trevor Lawrence came back from like 20-something down to beat him.
I want to pick the Texans, but man, CJ Stroud been struggling, man. Or he hasn't played as well as he did last year. But it is a home game, but the Chargers defensively this year have been pretty good. So
they're pretty good.
I think it's gonna be a close game.
I was looking at some of the other day. I think I was looking at the scoring defense, and they're not as good as you think they are. When I looked at it, I think they're like ranked 16th or 17th in scoring defense, which is not terrible, but like, people were making it seem like the Chargers were one of the best defenses in the league. So I think we're kind of people have overrated what they are defensively.
Okay. Steelers and Ravens. This one's actually a good game. This one is actually I'm gonna be watching this game for sure. I'm gonna try to watch the Chargers Texans game, but
yeah, same.
Steelers Ravens is always good to watch. But who you got?
Ravens. Yeah, man.
Ravens. You got the Ravens. Lamar got to win it, man. I want Lamar to win it, man. I think people disrespecting him as a player because he hasn't won a Super Bowl, and they're kind of like, he's like, oh, he hasn't won a Super Bowl. He can't win with this type of game. But he's playing at a level, man. He's one of the best QBs in the NFL. You can make an argument he's playing the best out of all the QBs this year. Man, how many touchdowns did he score this year? Like, we had like 40 plus touchdowns, I think. It was crazy. Like, people were talking about like, the quarter. I think it was what's the quarterback for the Bills? Tripping.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen talking about him winning the MVP. But when you compare the numbers between him and Lamar, man, it's
like, close.
Not even close.
Not even close.
So if they give it to Josh Allen, it's almost like a Jordan. It's like almost like a Jordan effect. Like, Jordan is so good that like they feel bad and they just give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When he was winning all those MVPs in the 90s, like, come on, man, like.
It's one of those situations where it's they don't, because this is Lamar's best season. Like, this is his best season. He has 41 touchdowns, passing, only 4 interceptions.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, bro. Yeah. Plus 4 rushing touchdowns.
Crazy.
It's like and 900, almost 1,000 yards rushing.
Almost 1,000 yards rushing.
Yeah, he's accounted for over 5,000 total yards and over 45 touchdowns.
I want at least get to the Super Bowl. I want the Ravens to get the Super Bowl. Beat the Chiefs. I don't want to see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Hate the Chiefs. Broncos and Bills. Who do you got? This is going to be in Buffalo.
The Bills.
Yeah, the Bills, man, rookie QB on the road in the playoffs. But I seen some crazy stat. People were trying to be funny. They said like, I think it said like Sean Payton's record against bald head coaches is like pretty good or something like that. People be clowning on it in there, man. It's crazy. It's crazy, but I think the Bills got this one. Packers, Eagles. Who you got?
Oh, I'm gonna go Eagles. I heard Jalen Hurts is look like he's healthy enough to play, so I'm gonna go Eagles.
Jordan Love, I think, is hurt too. Is he playing this week?
Oh, is he?
I think both QBs, both Jordan Love and they were on the injury report. I'm not sure if they're gonna miss the game, but like they're both kind of banged up. So that's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, Eagles, man. I think Eagles at home. I think they edged that out. Ooh, Commanders and Bucks. Jaden Daniels, first career playoff game, first year rookie against the Bucks. Baker Mayfield. Who do you got?
You know what? I think the Texans. I think they went out. They won a playoff game last year. I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say the Commanders go out and do it this year. I think the Buccaneers, they struggle. Whoever their last opponent was, want to say they struggled that last game of the season.
Hey, it's crazy how it works with the wild card, but Commanders are 12-5 and the Bucks are 10-7. But since
they won their division,
since they won their division, they got home field. So it's gonna be in Tampa Bay.
Man, the Commanders are 12-5, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. See, quarterback, man, it's crazy what a quarterback does for you.
Yeah, you got a franchise. Impact. You got a franchise guy like that. Yeah.
Yep. Big time. Even if it's like like top 10, top 15 quarterback, it makes a difference sometimes when it's like the missing piece, missing ingredient. You know what I mean? Like if you got other things, you got like other supporting players, and you don't have that QB, or you have, man, it makes a huge difference. Because look at the Vikings, man. The Vikings. Well, I mean, I don't know if that's a good example, but like, shit, the way Darnold is playing, like he's making J.J. McCarthy expendable. They're gonna go ahead and trade him this year. But Vikings and Rams, who you got?
Vikings. I mean, they've been playing good football all year long. I think they got enough. They got enough weapons, especially Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. They both kind of had quiet games this last game, so I think they're gonna come out with a point to prove.
You got the Vikings. Ah, man. Oh, this is in Arizona too. It's supposed to be in LA.
Yeah, they moved it because the fires.
Yeah. Stafford, Sean McVay. Oh man, Kevin O'Connell is a Sean McVay disciple, right? Sean McVay disciple.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, this is gonna be good, but I think the Vikings probably gonna edge this out. The way they've been playing this year, I think they should be able to take care of business on the road technically, but the Rams are also on the road as well. It's because it's gonna be in Arizona, but we'll see, man. But I think the Vikings gonna win this. But man, the Rams, man, Sean McVay, man, he's a great coach. He's a great coach. I would say, what would you? He's top 5, top 3,
top 3. Might be. Yeah, top 3.
Andrew Reid is number 1.
Yes.
For me. Number 2.
I might go McVay number 2.
Fuck, man, McVay, man, he's just.
I think it's hard not to go McVay. I think if you're looking at just regular season, man, well, that's tough. It's tough because you got Tomlin up there, you got Shanahan up there. That's tough. Got Harbaugh up there, John.
Yeah. I'll say Andy Reid. I wouldn't be mad at McVay. Number 3.
Yeah. You see, you got Shanahan, Harbaugh, Tomlin. Like those are the 3 in the running. Like, who do you go with out of those guys?
Tomlin, my top 5.
Tomlin top 5. Okay, so you're not top 3.
Nah,
so you're going Shanahan probably. So you probably going Shanahan, knowing you. You going Shanahan? I can see it in your face. You don't want to say it, but you going Shanahan.
It's like golly, like because first of all, outside of this year, right? We're all looking at Shanahan and be like, oh well, the 49ers ain't doing nothing this year, right? But they've been going to the Super Bowl like almost every other year. Like they went to Super Bowl last year. The year before was the NFC Championship game. Like they've been one of the best teams in the NFL, and he's similar in Sean McVay, where his assistant coaches become head coaches somewhere else because they're growing within his system and developing, and they're successful as well. Like, so Kyle Shanahan might be number 3, but yeah.
Who you got 4 then at that point?
I'm trying to think. Who am I missing? I'm forgetting somebody. Let me see what the chat is.
I mean, Dan Campbell's up there, but Dan Campbell, Kevin O'Connell too. Dan Campbell, Kevin O'Connell.
Kevin. You know what? So also you got to give respect to some people who are coaching their ass off this year. I think Kevin O'Connell, he's getting in there too. He's getting it in,
bro. And you
Darnold
look at
Darnold at QB, and he's balling.
You look at what Darnold did before he got to Minnesota. You look at what he's doing now. And you look at Kirk Cousins, what he did in Minnesota. And Kirk Cousins just got benched. So some of Kirk Cousins has to do with his injury, of course, but he's just not he wasn't the same player. Now that he left Kevin O'Connell, so
think about it. Think about it. I'm looking at the playoff teams right now, and I'm looking at the coaches. Right, you got the Texans. That's a, he's not an offensive coach, but he came from the Kyle Shanahan coaching staff, and then you got Kevin O'Connell came from Sean McVay's. He came from his coaching staff in the past. We're working with him, right? Steelers, Ravens. Who would you go, Harbaugh or Tomlin?
Oh, I'm going Tomlin, just because Harbaugh, he didn't have Lamar this entire time. Like Tomlin, he didn't won with some bums.
He won with Joe Flacco though. I mean, not that he was a terrible QB, but like
not that he was terrible QB, but they had
like
a hell
Roethlisberger, because Tomlin won with Roethlisberger, and Roethlisberger's like one of the best.
He gonna be a Hall of Fame. He gonna be a Hall of Fame. But I think Tomlin is like, I forgot, like 40 games over 500, something crazy like that. And they're in the same division too, so they're both in the AFC North. So not like you can point to the division being weak. Recent success has been more Harbaugh, but just body of work. Like I think Tomlin been coached 17 years. He's never had a losing record.
Mike McCarthy had a higher winning percentage than McVay. So are you going Mike McCarthy over Sean McVay, Austin? Let me know. Are you going Mike McCarthy over? That's crazy though, to think about.
But
Mike McCarthy is kind of consistent though. Like I think he won with the Packers, with the Cowboys. Kind of been a little shaky.
I mean, Mike McCarthy had Aaron Rodgers though.
He had Aaron though. He had Aaron. He did have Aaron, but he did have Aaron. That's crazy how like we dock people for having you have this player.
I mean, because when you have that kind of guy, I mean that makes a difference. That makes a difference.
Oh, Dan, what do you think? Where do you put Dan Campbell, man? Dan Campbell.
I like Dan Campbell, man. I like Dan Campbell as a head coach, but
how long is it gonna last though? How long is it gonna last? Because it seems like he's a very emotional. Like one of these days, the locker room probably gonna look at him and be like, "You corny," you know what I mean? Like or something. I don't know. I don't know if he's. I don't know, man. I think right now he's done a good job of building that team and they're on a mission right now. But like, I think it's too early for me to call him, like, for some reason, I just feel like it's too early for me to call him like one of the best. Like,
I want to see him with a different. Most of the guys we're talking about right now have won with multiple people outside of Kevin O'Connell. And even though Kevin O'Connell was won with multiple people, he's won with Kirk Cousins and he's won with. He's won with and he's won with different offensive coordinators, won with different defensive coordinators.
Just checking.
I think we've seen these guys win under different circumstances. That's why we kind of give them the benefit of the doubt over Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell, same offensive coordinator, same quarterbacks coach, same DC. When he didn't have Ben Johnson,
right
he had Aaron. Nah, maybe just for this year.
It feels like Dan.
That's tough to say. Just for this year, you can say.
I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I like Kevin O'Connell over him, just because the play caller. I like the fact that, like, I don't know, man. I like Kevin O'Connell. I like Sean McVay. I like Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah. I think we got to see what Dan Campbell does when he doesn't have Ben Johnson and/or Aaron Glenn. When he's put in that situation, that's the true test of what you are as a head coach.
But you know what though? He's in that category of where he needs to have like good assistants around him to be like to maximize his ability as a coach. Which you could say about a lot of different coaches, but like, you know, guys like Kyle Shanahan and the Kevin O'Connells and the Sean McVays, they're play callers too. So it kind of gives them a little bit extra.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm trying to think did because they lost to the 49ers last year. Didn't he like have some questionable decisions in that game? Wasn't there like some questionable decision making in that game? If I recall correctly.
Oh, against the 49ers?
Yeah.
Yeah, he went for it on fourth down, got a little too aggressive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I remember it was some questionable stuff he did. It was like, come on. Come on now.
Yeah. We got to see what it looks like after he leaves, but you know, hey, I don't want to dock him for that because that's what a good coach does. They put a good staff around him. So it's like it's kind of like but what I guess what you can say is like what will he do to replace
exactly
that?
Like did he get lucky that one time? Well, you know, what does he do next? Like, you know, like to Vrabel's credit, right? You know, Vrabel's credit.
It'd be funny if you go 2-14. 2-14.
Now, to Vrabel's credit, he lucked up and he got Matt LaFleur. And I think that was a fortunate situation. But then, you know, he followed that up with Arthur Smith, which was good. That was like, you know, Matt LaFleur, I think that he was a hot commodity. People knew he was going to be a good offensive coordinator. Arthur Smith, not so much. That was a Vrabel thing. He discovered Arthur Smith, and you know, he turned into a head coach. But now he's back to being an offensive coordinator. But then, you know, the Todd Downing thing happened, and it was all downhill from there.
Anthony says, Pharaoh, you like Shannon? We try to win the championship, not choke it. What do you mean?
You talking about Shanahan?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that you could nitpick, just like we nitpicked on Dan Campbell a little bit. We can nitpick about Kyle Shanahan, like he hasn't won the big game, even though he's gone there like multiple times, and he's been in the playoffs like multiple years. Also, another thing too is like he hasn't really. And this is it's hard. It's hard to find a QB, but he hasn't really developed a QB. Purdy is a 7th round guy. Some people are questioning, like, damn, like what kind of contract would you give Purdy? That's a whole different conversation.
Man.
But like, I wouldn't want to pay that guy. I'm sorry, like I ain't paying him. Like
me either.
He's man, because like Baker, would you pay him more than Baker Mayfield? I think Baker Mayfield is better than Purdy.
Yeah. Man, but Purdy's been in the Super Bowl.
I'm telling you, Baker Mayfield with Shanahan. I'm telling you, man. You put if you give Shanahan a talented QB, he's gonna play well. He's gonna play well. And but the one knock you can give him is like they pick. What was it? Trey Lance. They didn't develop him, and then that's the one thing you could say. Like, they didn't really develop him. But hey, Sean McVay, same thing. Like, I mean, they did draft Jared Goff, but at the same time, like, they ended up trading him away and couldn't win big with him. So they couldn't. Yeah, they traded him away, but that's a whole different conversation. But they ended up getting Stafford in the trade and ended up winning the Super Bowl. But Dan Campbell's a culture builder. Okay, I give you that, man. He's not a bad coach, man. I ain't gonna lie. He's not a bad coach. He's not a bad coach.
It's not saying he's a bad coach. I think he's a very good coach. I think he's one of the better coaches in the league. But it's like, am I willing to put him over the best coaches in the league? I put him like top. You put him top 4. You putting him over some guys that have actually like done it consistently, done it in different situations. I'm not sure if I'm ready to do that yet.
My guy, Marty Marr says that's what Pete Carroll does too. He called us to say he's interested. I mean, like a culture, like build a culture. Man, he called us to be interested. Man, you don't sit his old.
That's that's not a good look. Remember John Fossil? Was it Jim Fossil? Jim Fossil, the old coach of the Giants. Remember he used to call and tell the Raiders he was interested. I think Denny Green used to do the same thing. He's like, oh yeah, if y'all looking for a coach, like that's that's low key desperate. That's low key desperation, man.
You said Dennis Green.
Yep.
If you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Man.
Yeah, I think he interviewed with the Raiders a few times too, a couple times back in the day.
Yeah, Jim Fossil, man, they were both begging to be the Raiders head coach, and Al Davis wouldn't do it.
Yeah, he wouldn't do it. He's like, I'm too desperate. I can't.
Man, exactly.
Man, Hugh Jackson. What you mean, Hugh Jackson? Why you bring him up? We got the best. If y'all looking for a coach,
exactly. I heard y'all just fire somebody. If y'all.
Oh man, that's crazy, man. Hey man, it's been a great show. We appreciate everybody coming through. We went longer than we expected, but hey man, it's a lot to talk about. I mean, the Raiders are looking for a head coach. They just fired a GM, so they're also looking for a GM. Hopefully within the next, I think it's probably going to be, maybe, what would you give it? Like a couple weeks before they announce?
Yeah, remember we put the timeline. Remember we said
January 19th? January 19th is when AP got hired last year?
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah. I mean, I think that's when we kind of knew who we wanted already. So now it might be a little bit more protracted since we have to actually. It might be a while because if we have our heart set on a team that goes deep into the play, like we want Ben Johnson, we gonna have to wait a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, especially because like a lot of the top candidates they're in the playoffs, from the Todd Munkins and Liam Cohen. I mean, if they continue to win, so we'll see. We'll see after this weekend and see how it shakes out. But I think, was it after the divisional rounds? That's when they can interview in person. I'm sure that they're probably going to do that before they officially hire the coach. But we'll see, man. Hey, man, it's going to be a lot to talk about. I think it's going to be within the next couple weeks, especially if, the playoffs. I think the playoffs kind of are going to be a major factor because last year when AP got hired, AP wasn't in the playoffs. Like they literally picked him because he was the guy that finished the season strong last season, and obviously they didn't have to wait too long to hire him. So we'll see, man. But make sure to clock in. At this point, clock out, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We appreciate everybody coming through. It's been a great show. Severe, let the people know where they can find you, what to look forward to, all that good stuff.
And you guys know what it is. The Severe Raider here on YouTube, on IG, on Snapchat, on TikTok, on X, all that good stuff. Catch me every Tuesday night here with my brother Pharaoh on the 50/50 show. Also, Tuesday shows, usually film breakdowns with Protect the Shield and with 805. And then every Friday night, generally Friday nights, but today we keep coming at y'all special live Thursday night edition of Around the Shield. I start cracking up. It's about to be a crazy offseason, man. So, I'm about to start cranking out some stuff a lot more often. I'm trying to set it up so I can go daily, do at least an hour a day on the days I'm not doing the other shows, man. So look out for that. That's coming soon. I got some stuff in the works.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, appreciate you, Mark. He says thank you all and clock out on your way out. Thank you, Go Raiders, man. Appreciate it, Mark, for holding it down as a mod in the chat, man. Appreciate everybody coming through, man. Like, hey, clock in, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Yeah, man, Severe. 7 and 5/8, right? 7.5,
7.38, 7.38.
7.38. Oh, okay, man.
Yeah, man. Go ahead, give me a snap back though, man. Go ahead, give me a snap back though, brother. That's all I roll with the snap
man.
back.
But like Severe said, hey, we do the 50/50 show every Tuesday, Around the Shield every week. We'll see how it goes moving forward. Schedule might change up because it's off-season edition. But yeah, man, we'll be here every Tuesday. Hopefully, we'll have something to talk about before then. And yeah, just be on the lookout for content. But I'll say this too as well. Make sure to also follow us on Around the Shield on Twitter and on X for latest news on with the Raiders, memes, all that good stuff, podcast clips. So definitely follow us there. Also, if you want to get us latest merch, 50/50 shop, check it out. Links in the chat, also in the description. Yeah, man. Hey, been a great show. Any last thoughts before we head out? Who's your Super Bowl pick? Who's for the playoff start? Who's your Super Bowl pick?
This was what my ideal matchup: Lions versus Ravens. Lions versus Ravens.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Real quick, just sleeper candidate as head coach. I think I mentioned him on here before. I don't know. I don't think we've reached out to him yet, but Mike LaFleur, offensive coordinator for the Rams, is Matt LaFleur's brother. I take a serious look at him. Sean McVay guy.
All right. Nice little. Hey man, hey, it's a possibility, man. Hey, the way the Raiders are attacking the head coaching search, they're casting a wide net. So it's not like they're focusing on a couple of candidates. They're literally requesting interviews left and right, and all of the head coaching candidates are all kind of different. Some are old, some are young, some have experience, some are first-time coaches. So they're going into it with an open mind. But hey, we appreciate everybody coming through, man. Hey, man, it's late, man. We went longer than expected, but we'll be back here next week. So make sure to tune in. All right, y'all. Peace.
Just win, baby. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.